Hello and welcome to AnimEH, the Canadian-flavored anime podcast. My name is Justin Ashley, and joining me is my co-host, Johnny Liscombe. How are you, Johnny?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm excited to be here to talk some anime with you.
Made it to episode 3.
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, we're a little late doing this. Admittedly, it's my fault because this is convention season for me, so I don't often have a ton of free time right now. So it's been difficult to try to find time to actually shoot another episode. So apologies to the tens and tens of people who are viewing or listening to this right now.
Anyone disappointed, we apologize.
Yeah, John's now lumped into to my apology, just by default of being on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Even though it pretty much was my fault in that I just didn't have a lot of free time. So we're a little late doing this, but we are going to be discussing, this is a summer 2023 recap. So we are recapping animes that we both watched. Sorry, I should say animes that we each watched. I don't know what you watched. You don't know what I watched. We haven't prepared this. We didn't agree to watch the same animes or anything like that. You made your own list individually, and so have I, and we're going to go back and forth and just talk about shit we watched during the summer season.
Yeah, talk about the stuff that I liked and you didn't.
Is that what this show is? It's just
more or less.
It's just
right?
me bitching about why anime isn't as good as when I was a kid.
Yeah, just complaining about all the demon slayers.
Complaining that it's shonen and it's not seinen enough. I guess that's going to end up being my reputation. I'm fine with that. If one of us is to be the snob, I will gladly take on said role.
Hey, it's better than being a yes man, right?
Right, exactly. Before we get into this, we kind of have a cheat one that we agreed. Okay, so I already lied. There was one that we agreed to both watch. We talked about this last episode. When the trailer first came out, we just gave our little back and forth about the One Piece live action trailer, the Netflix show.
Yep.
We both had differing opinions on it, but I think we were both pretty skeptical.
Yeah, I mean, reasonably so, right?
Like, you didn't quite know what you wanted it to be, and you weren't sure if it even needed to exist.
Definitely wasn't sure they could pull it off.
I was just like, I don't really care about this. I'm like, because I part of that live action, I mean, that's the reason we made that last episode, was I thought One Piece was a terrible idea for a live action adaptation.
Yes.
I was like, there's so much more grounded animes. And I gave you an amazing list in our last episode. If you just go back to that episode, you will get a fantastic list.
It would be appreciated.
Yeah, please go back and watch it 1,000 times to bump up our numbers. But now the anime has come out. It is the first season is done. It got renewed for a second season. Not surprisingly? ? I don't know. Like, is that kind of a shock? Like, and obviously, elephant in the room. It was well received. Like, aside from what we thought, what have you read? I mean, you're in the One Piece community.
Yeah, so a lot of what I saw was like One Piece fans like going a little overboard with obsessing about the show.
As in like nitpicking, or
no, they love it. And
okay.
I mean, naturally it kind of looks like, oh, you like One Piece, of course you want the live action to succeed. It's like it was good, but it wasn't as good as most of the One Piece community made it seem.
Right. Well, we're gonna get to our opinions here in a second.
Yeah.
But it definitely has been well received by that community.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and not just, I don't even think just the One Piece community. I think also like the larger anime community is embracing it as like, hey, finally a good live action anime adaptation. So,
and anybody that wasn't down to watch 1,070 whatever episodes.
Right. And I think it also won over a lot of like regular viewers, you know.
Yeah.
Like I think like we're not even, the hell was that? Did that camera turn off?
Yeah, it did.
Ah, that's what that was. Fuck, all kinds of issues tonight, eh? Hold on. between the
Hey,
shots.
I still look good. I don't mind.
Podcast of the damned, folks. Is there a red light on that now?
No.
Oh, did I not hit record?
I don't think you did.
Oh.
All right, we're good.
That was some technical difficulties there, folks. Sorry about that. What the hell was that? One of the cameras shut off. Why did it shut off? Oh, because the room's fucking hot. That's why we overheated the equipment here. It's because we're just too goddamn hot. We're two hot hunks in front of this high-tech equipment, and it's overheating it.
Yeah, apologies. Next time I'll try to dirty myself down.
We'll film this in the dark
Yeah.
next episode. Yeah, we'll dim these.
Probably
we'll,
for the
we'll
best.
dim these lights. Yeah, for the best. Exactly. So all right. So where were we? We were talking about definitely it was received well.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's get into what we both thought though. Overall opinion, John.
So,
What did you think?
overall opinion, I thought it was pretty good. I wasn't blown away or anything, but I
Yeah.
will continue watching it.
This is gonna shock you. I didn't think it was that bad.
Fuck.
I finished the first season.
That's a surprise right there.
Yeah.
Especially with how critical you are of.
Of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was expecting to go in and have the same reaction I did to the Cowboy Bebop live action, which was just fucking dog shit. So I was expecting to hate it immediately. I finished the first season. Like I watched the whole thing. It's not I'm not gonna suck its dick. It's not incredible. I don't think it's an amazing, piece of work. But it's very competent. It's very well made. I'll say that. I've got a lot of points to go on about, like things I liked, things I didn't. But overall, it kept my attention. I thought it was pretty good. It kept me entertained, and I finished the first season.
Shit.
If you can believe that. Yeah.
I don't. I want a lie
Yeah. Well,
detector.
I have proof because I know what the hell happens at the end. Let's get into it though. Do you have any notes on the show you want to talk about?
I have a few. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Take the first note. First note's all yours. You
All right,
you are
so-
the larger fan out of the two of us, so belongs to you.
So they did some stuff that didn't happen in the source material, right? But what was really cool was one scene in specific they referenced in the Alabasta arc, and it was Zoro had killed Mr. 3.
Is that the dude? Is that the guy before he meets Luffy?
Yeah, that is the weird guy
That,
with
like,
the red mohawk.
Right.
thing.
That one scene that just like that where he takes his head. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool. Now they referenced it. We never actually saw the scene though, so the fact that they put in the tender love and care to show us that was pretty cool.
So that wasn't in the anime or the manga.
No, they talked about it, but we never actually saw the scene.
So they actually did they put in like an original thing. Then they're basically they added footage in a sense.
Yeah, they made it a little more original, I guess. It's the word I want to use.
That's cool. So it had it had things in it that weren't in the original source material, but they kind of were. So it fleshed out some stuff.
Yeah, they gave us what we wanted and a little extra.
Was there anything else that is there any other examples you can think of where they did that? Anything else they fleshed out more or changed?
Not really that specific, or that specifically.
Yeah.
But there was another scene that I kind of liked that not really true to the source material, because Garp, Kobe weren't really in it that early. And Kobe was. The scene with Alvida, all that, that happened.
Yep.
But after he got with Garp, we don't see him again for quite a while. But
They were major characters the whole season.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that was not the case in the source material?
Oh, not at all.
Oh, okay.
But the scene specifically that I'm referring to is when Kobe shows up and gives Luffy his bounty. That was really cool.
Was that not in the manga?
No,
or the anime?
It was just in the newspaper,
Oh, so he just
Monkey D.
happens to
Luffy
catch it.
has a bounty.
Oh, well, they really set up. I think you told me this because I know we cheated, folks. We talked a little bit off camera, but in my defense, I was very, very strict about us not talking about this. Do you
Yes.
recall this? I did not want you to talk to me about it at all off camera. To the point where it became a thing in our friend group where I wouldn't even let you talk about it to them because I didn't want to overhear anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I legit did. Yeah.
Nah. It was awful.
Yeah.
Being asked for my opinion
Right.
and not being able to
And then
give
I
it.
kept glaring at you from across
like,
the room.
But you're getting it now.
Yeah. So you had told me that Colby, that's the little pink-haired guy,
Yes.
is like he was kind of not a huge character in the original source material, like nowhere near the importance that he became, like they made him in the show.
Yeah, like they reference him. He returns a lot.
Yeah.
But he's definitely not as involved in
Well,
the series.
Well, he's like a main character in the series, debatably.
Yeah.
Like half the show is like him. Like there's a ton of scenes where it's just him and Garp basically, and like you get to see him like slowly figure out his identity, and they kind of set him up almost as like Luffy's rival, kind of, you know.
I mean, they sort of agreed to that, right? Like,
Yeah, right. It's kind of like he's set up as the playful rival. Like there's not really animosity between the two of them. It's a rival of respect though, which is the best kind of rival, you know.
it's like the second I become a Marine, we are enemies.
But at the same time, there's like because I think Colby has a speech about like Luffy's a good pirate.
Yeah.
Is that in that, or did I just make that up? I think
I'm pretty sure it was in that.
yeah, I think they did. Any other? I'm gonna let you go first, so I'll let you go through your points first.
So things I liked. They did make some changes, made it a little more unique. They were true to the source material.
Yep.
And I don't know, like they threw in little tidbits in the background, like for the stories they couldn't cover. For example, in the arc with Buggy,
Yep.
they had a dog, which was kind of a little bit more of a key role in that arc in the anime.
I don't remember there being a dog at all. It was just like in the background or something.
Yeah, literally. Just after all the slaves were freed,
Okay.
there was a dog running around in the background with the townspeople, and I know why he was there.
So what's the significance of the dog?
Basically, Luffy saves the dog in a sense, but it's not so much saving the dog, it's saving his treasure.
Okay.
And it's kind of a neat little turning point in the story where Nami kind of realizes that not all pirates are scumbags.
Oh, so this is like kind of is this from the anime or the manga or both?
Both.
So this is like it's like a scene where Nami begins to see Luffy in like a different light, kind of
Yeah,
idea?
essentially.
Okay.
Is basically what it is Buggy's crew messes up this pet store that he's guarding for his dead or deceased owner. And they trash the place, and Luffy saves just one box of dog food.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, sorry I couldn't save it, but this is what I could. And the dog kind of has a bit more respect for Luffy.
Right.
And Nami's like, you know what? Maybe there's like a goodness to this pirate.
So they didn't shoot any of that shit, obviously, because
Yeah.
you're saying that that dog was there, and any fans of like the original source material would have picked up on that. Well, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're certain that's got to be the dog, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so it's not that wasn't just an extra dog.
If I do recall, his name was Shushu, but don't quote me on that, because I think he had a different name in the manga and the anime.
There's no way you know that. Okay.
Well, 100% I know that.
Yeah. All right. What else you got?
So they did overall a pretty good job of like wrapping up the storyline in a nice little bow. Like they summarized it in a way that.
Okay, so that was actually something I wanted to ask you about, because obviously you're way more familiar with the source material. You've watched all million episodes up to this point and read all the manga or whatever. You're close to reading all the manga. What did this convert to? So like it's I think it was 8 episodes or 8 or 10 or something, maybe 12. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't a huge season, you know. And one of the things you were criticizing and saying when they announced this was like, why do this when the actors are going to die before you get to, you know, episode 1,000? You know, the show will cost billions of dollars to produce. So my question to you is, what did that convert to? So the 8 episodes or however many episodes. I'm gonna look this up because I don't quite remember how many episodes it was.
I do believe it was 8.
Do you know what I'm asking?
But yes, I do. So basically, overall, it summarizes about 60, give or take about 60 episodes. It covers everything that was actually covered in the summarized movie, I guess, of Episode of East Blue. And
it looks like Google is kind of answering the question that literally I was trying to ask you, but that wasn't actually. It gave me the answer that I didn't want. It gave me your answer. Okay, it's 8 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what did that actually convert to? According to Google, that was the first 60 episodes of the anime.
No,
is
literally.
Google right?
Yeah, Google is right. Yes.
Google
knows all.
Okay. So that converted. So the 8 episodes of the live action converted roughly to like 60 episodes of the anime.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, so they actually could pull this off.
Oh, they could. It definitely gave me some hope.
But how do you feel about that? Because that's a lot of material cut.
So overall, they didn't really cut much of the main story. I mean, they did add some stuff that isn't supposed to be there yet. Like, we don't meet Garp until sorry. We meet him closer to like 170, but like they don't reveal that it's Luffy's grandfather until like episode 250 or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ, because they reveal that in like episode 6 or something.
Yeah,
they're like, he's my granddad.
So like they are definitely like speed running the anime essentially.
A little bit, yeah.
But like most of the stuff they cut doesn't really matter.
But that's my question: is did you feel anything was cheated? Like, were you a little like, oh, they took that out? That's kind of essential.
Well, I mean, I won't lie to you. I was a little upset that the dog was cut. I
specific scene.
I liked that story.
Okay,
that one stuck with me. But I don't know. They changed a couple little things, like well, I shouldn't say changed, but like the whole backstory with Sanji and Zeph on the island, and Zeph eats his leg. In the manga, it was a little more mentioned. In the anime, they kind of made it seem more like he lost it at sea trying to save Sanji.
Okay.
But it was neat that they were a little more true to the source material. They didn't try to baby us. They gave us the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, they did. That was actually one of the cooler. You just reminded me of that because honestly, I kind of forgot about it. It's been a while. It's been a couple months since I watched it. But yeah, that was a cool little thing. So you feel that even as an abridged, more streamlined version of it, so far it's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't feel like it's missing anything major, or the pacing feels off to you. Like it worked for you.
Yeah, it did.
That's impressive.
Actually, the one thing I will say is like the anime. I love the anime, right? But one of the little issues I have with it is like the whole time they've been on the sea, time skip included, is roughly like 3.5 years, which makes no sense. They're traveling the world.
Right.
So the way they're summarizing it, obviously it's going to take them a few years to shoot it, but it's kind of cool that we're going to see them age a little bit more.
Right.
But like, if they keep summarizing it the way they are, they won't be dead before the show's over.
So there's hope.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
No, it's neat that they are gonna maybe make it work.
Well, it got renewed. I mean, so the fan base is there. They're supporting it. It got renewed for season 2 almost immediately. But I mean, they were spending a gajillion dollars on this, so I was very doubtful if they would have canceled it like right away. But it was well received, so they might get to the part where they're adapting, episode 1000 or whatever. Yeah, especially at that conversion rate.
Past that point, it's going to look a little goofy live action, though.
Yeah, well,
like Gear 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but just because snobs like me don't like it doesn't mean that it won't be enjoyable for true fans of the show.
Yeah, fair.
Do you want to keep going with your points? Do you want me to get into some of my points here? Mine are complete random.
I think that basically covers my likes. So if you wanted to share some of yours.
Sure. Okay. These are in no particular order, folks. This is complete like stream of consciousness. I just jotted things down as I was watching it, things that came to my mind. overall, I thought it was pretty good. Some specific things I liked. I really liked, and I wanted to ask you if this was like a motif that they used in the anime. I really liked that they had this cool graphic that would come up every time a villain would get introduced. They'd have their wanted poster would fly up in front of them, like this digital wanted poster, and then they would interact with it.
Yeah.
Like I think whoever the big fat lady was, I don't remember her name.
Alvida.
Yeah, Alvida. She I think she grabs hers and like throws it to the side, and then like the shark nose guy, he like shreds it. Like when it comes up in front of him.
Yeah.
I just liked that motif of like the wanted poster coming in front of the villain when they get introduced. It was a neat little visual cue. And I like the idea of them breaking the fourth wall and interacting with it. That was neat. Like they kind of break out of their own fictional world for a second and interact with this.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool detail that they added.
It was just a cool visual like style, you know. It was a cool like little thing to add. Was that in the anime? Like did they just copy that?
No, not at all. Like they would occasionally show like wanted posters, or like it was more so like the character or like another character would reference their bounty and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Kind
so
of
that
introduced the characters
wasn't
that
like
way.
a thing they used in the anime.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought they just copied that. Well, then kudos to the show because that was a neat idea.
Yeah, that was
Like,
awesome.
That's a cool, like a little original like flair. I thought the costumes were pretty damn good. And I mean, they're basing it on like One Piece is very fantastical, right?
Yes.
So how do you ground that? How do you make a man with an axe for a hand not look goofy and stupid? But like I thought Axe Hand Morgan was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, he really was.
I thought they did a pretty good job with that. Like I thought that costume looked good. I thought it looked like, obviously in our world that's nonsense. Like a man has an axe for a hand. But in that world it came across as like not that stupid. Like I don't know, I thought it was pretty good. It was,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, is it that unrealistic though?
Okay, I guess.
I mean, it's basically just a prosthetic hand, you know?
Okay, sure.
Maybe he was a logger.
Sure. You know what? If you go back to like pirate times, you know, guys had, you know, peg legs and metal legs. So
And
why
hook
is
hands.
it? Yeah, is it that really, you know, that out there? I guess not. I guess that's a good point. But I thought the costumes overall were quite good. I thought Buggy looked really good.
Oh, he was terrifying.
Like I thought that was a really cool design, and obviously that's straight out of the anime, but like, how did you feel about like how they looked versus how they were interpreted live action? Like overall, did you like how I'm talking? Like I'll just say design and costuming, because that's very difficult to not make them. That I guess like a good way of putting it is they didn't look like people cosplaying.
Yeah.
Which is how most live action animes, when they adapt them, it just looks like people cosplaying as the characters. They don't look like believable real characters. And I thought they actually pulled that off in the show.
So when I first saw the characters, Buggy, I was totally cool with. Axe Hand Morgan, like all of them looked good to me. Now, when I saw Arlong, at first I was a little bugged, but it wasn't with how he looked. It's just in my mind.
Is that the shark nose guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's because he's like a half shark man. I mean, that's hard to.
But like in my mind, because like, you know, I've watched all of One Piece, I kind of half expected him to look a little more like he did in the anime. But after, you know, processing it a little and putting some logic behind it, I realized that that's not really possible or at all realistic. So the way they did it was fitting.
Yeah, that's like a. Sorry, I'm just refilling my drink here, folks. I'm very thirsty. I need some of this Mountain Dew, the official sponsor. No, it's not official sponsor. Someday, maybe. Arlong is like, I don't know. I never watched the original, but I'm assuming he's a very cartoony looking character. So that like,
I mean,
when you saw the live action version, you're like, oh, okay, that's how that would look.
Yeah. He typically looks like a sawfish man. Right?
How do you make that look? You know, like that. See, this is the struggle of picking a fantastical show like One Piece with outrageous character designs, you know? And they could have gone the CG route and they didn't. Is that kind of what you're referring to? Like they could have made him a CG character.
Yeah, they definitely could have done more to make him look like source material, but at the same time, overall in the live action, it would have just looked out of place.
Yeah, they kind of gave him a prosthetic. That was kind of what they went for. The solution was we could make him a CG character. We're just going to make him a character with a prosthetic.
Yeah,
and it worked enough for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. What else do I got here? Solid costume. Okay, actually, I want to shit on something about the show for a second. I'm going to be going back and forth. Again, these are random. Okay, so we're talking about like adapting fantasy into reality. I thought overall the costumes were pretty believable. One of the things I wish they adapted more was their fucking hair colors. Because I don't know, to me they just read as stupid. Like human beings don't have like anime characters have nonsensical hair colors. And we kind of let it go because just the medium of hand-drawn work, for some reason, it's more believable. But in reality, your eye looks at it and goes, human beings don't have that. So it immediately stands out to you. So like Shanks, Colby, and Nami specifically, and I mean even Zoro with his fucking, dyed green hair?
Yeah.
Like, was it that necessary that they had to have the exact same hair color they had in the anime? And you know what I mean? Was that necessary?
I mean, like with Zoro, I kind of understand because he's like such a huge character in the anime.
Why couldn't he just have black hair? Like, why does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I feel like they should have adapted it and just gone like, we're not going to have them have, like, maybe he has like one streak or something, but yeah. Having a man have dyed green hair and another man having dyed pink hair, like that's a choice. And my fuck, do they ever stand out with the regular looking humans? Like the normal looking people, suddenly these people are like, it makes them look a little too cartoony for me.
Yeah.
And I wish they just didn't go with the hair colors.
Like the way I look at it is because One Piece has so many fucking characters.
Of course.
It's like, it just makes them that little bit more memorable.
Their hair colors, yeah.
So, I mean, like, it really is like a defining detail for them. So, like, it does look goofy as all hell.
But do you think it would have ruined the show if they, you know what I'm saying? Like, would it have ruined it if Zoro had black hair and Shanks was a blonde? Like, does that matter?
I wouldn't really say it matters. Like, they
see, I don't think it does. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who the fuck? There's one scene in particular. Remember when Whitebeard's getting executed at the beginning, like the first episode?
Oh, Gold Roger. Yeah.
Or is it Gold? Sorry, who did I say? Whitebeard.
Whitebeard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gold Roger. He's the guy that hides the One Piece, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Who the fuck was in the crowd in that scene? Is it Shanks? There's somebody major in the crowd in that scene.
I believe Shanks is.
My fuck, do they stand out?
Yeah.
Because it's like everybody looks normal, and then there's like one dude with like colored hair, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Who else? I think Mihawk was in the crowd as well.
Well, Mihawk's got like black hair, so he's not that. I
think
it was
sideburns
Shanks
that make him stand out.
Yeah, with their little. I mean, yeah. But I just thought that was a bit. I don't know. I think they shouldn't have gone with the hair color.
Yeah.
Personally.
Well, they could have gone with like a not lighter, more natural hair color, but a lighter.
Like, why not make him like a strawberry blonde?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why isn't Nami just a redhead?
Ginger.
Yeah, right. But instead she's got like orange hair, like the color that like no human being has. Like, it's just, and again, Zoro. Do they ever explain why he has green hair, or is it just anime logic? It's
just anime logic.
Yeah, right. He just naturally grows green hair out of his fucking head. Yeah. So I didn't like that.
To add to your point,
yeah, by all means.
One of the issues I had with the show was some of the wigs looked kind of shitty.
I heard this opinion. For some reason, I seem to be blind when it comes to bad wigs, so I never seem to catch this. But any in particular you can think of?
So the one that stood out to me the most, I mean, it didn't really matter that much, but Zoro killed Mr. 3, right? And then he's sitting at the bar and he's got the bag, says, "Yeah, drink for me and one for my friend here." And you see that hair sticking out and it just looks like a fucking ball of yarn.
Like it didn't look believable that it was like a man's
Not in the
hair.
slightest.
Yeah.
Like, it's just they did not do a great job with that wig.
Okay. Was there any other ones that you can think of? Or like there was a few where you're just like, it looks too like a cosplay shitty wig.
Shanks's hair wasn't so great for me.
Okay.
And
see, I hated the fucking again, good example. He wouldn't have had to wear a fucking wig. If that was a wig, was that a wig?
I think it might have been.
But if he didn't have fucking blood red hair, like fire fucking truck red hair, then you wouldn't have to deal with that. And the actor could just have their natural hair color.
Yeah. But honestly, Nami's actress, she could have just had her natural hair. I think it would have done fine for the show.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't really look like Nami particularly anyways.
Yeah.
She's not like 8 feet tall with like double D breasts.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a different interpretation of the character.
She definitely doesn't look like she has back problems.
Yeah, exactly. Good on them for not trying to go that route either. And feel free to jump in at any time if you have any other points on any of this stuff. The sets. They were great.
Oh, they were fucking amazing. Like the ships and stuff, masterpiece.
I like my favorite decade of film is the 80s. I like practical effects. I like practical sets. I'm not a huge fan of the CG era. I'm not a huge fan of like green screen bullshit. Give me tactile, real things on film any day over CG. They built a lot of sets.
Yeah, they really did.
We got like taverns. We have multiple ships. We got a Is it a submarine that Garp's on? What is Garp on?
That is a ship.
So it's another ship. So again, multiple ships. We get whatever the fuck's going on with Buggy's like circus like. What did you call it?
It's literally a circus. Right?
Oh, is that on his ship?
No, he built that in the town.
Okay, yeah. So again, we got like his circus. We got the rich girls like mansion. There's all these fucking elaborate sets.
Arlong Park,
and they're sure, and they're all very well made. I really liked the sets in this. Like money was spent, and I appreciate that. To me, when I think production value, I think sets, I think props, I think costumes, and apparently they spent like $100 million or some ridiculous thing on this. It shows.
Yeah.
It's on screen, and I appreciated it. I thought the ships were really cool, actually.
No, it really was.
The Going Merry?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Yes, the Going Merry. I thought that they did a good job with that. Considering that's an actual real ship, and you feel it. That's the thing is like when it's CG, you kind of feel like something's off, but when it's practical, like I feel the weight of the actor who plays Luffy sitting on the head of the Going Merry. Like that to me translates. It reads so much more authentic, and I don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was definitely really cool that they built all those.
I thought the ships were great, and I really liked the tavern that they find Sanji in.
Yeah.
Is it a tavern? No, the restaurant, the fancy restaurant.
It's a literal boat.
Right. It is like the boat restaurant, but it was it was a cool set. I don't know. It was just there's a lot of cool set pieces. And that's also where Zoro fights Mihawk, right?
Yes.
Right outside. Yeah, like good physical like spaces for the actors. The CG I thought was a little inconsistent. Sometimes it looked cheap.
Yeah.
Other times it looked incredible. There's one specific shot I wrote down. The sea monster that bites off Shanks's arm. Holy fuck, did that look good?
Yeah.
That was like one of the best looking like sea creatures that I've ever seen like created digitally. Like that looked photorealistic.
Oh, they put in the work on that. That looked beautiful.
That looked incredible. But then so like it's weird because they had like it showed what they could do, but then there was just other stuff and it's like, yeah, it looks a little cheesy. I don't know. What did you think of the CG for Luffy?
I didn't mind it. And
I thought it worked.
Shout out to him, like he really pulls off that character.
To that actor.
Yeah.
You're gonna give credit, yeah.
Oh, like he did a beautiful job. But yeah, the CG for Luffy.
Big fucking shoes to fill.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, the expectations. I mean, God, he must have been just chugging Pepto-Bismol every night. He's just like out of the stress, you know?
But yeah, they did really good with the CG on Luffy. Now, Buggy, I don't recall anything really standing out as bad with the CG for like his chop abilities.
I thought that looked great.
Yeah.
I thought his chop ability, it didn't look... I'm going to credit the show. Considering how fantastical the characters' abilities are, I thought they all looked pretty grounded. Like, they looked believable.
Yeah.
I actually thought Buggy's, like, the effect of his head was great. That was a great effect. Like, and his limbs flying around, it didn't read cartoony. It felt like it looked... They did a good job with it.
Yeah.
There's a few shots that took me out of it, but for the most part, a lot of the CG for their, like, abilities translated really well. Yeah.
Yeah, there was only like the one scene. I actually pointed it out in the trailer that stood out for me for their CG was Sanji's kick.
Yeah, where he just
and
then he kind of
kick
just stops mid-air and then
and
falls.
lands.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
lands. Yeah, that shot is a little...
That's the only thing that really sticks out in my mind where they could have improved.
It's definitely a little janky shot. Like, again, it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
I want to talk about something else for a second because I was bitching about the hair color. Like, because to me, it's like, you know, this is live action. It's got to read a little bit more realistic. Why the fuck did they have to say their move names? Now, they make a joke of it because Luffy says, he's like, all great fighters call out their moves before they do them.
Yeah.
That's funny. But then Buggy does it. The Saw Nose guy does it. Then everybody starts doing it. And I'm like, well, this is fucking stupid because it made sense to Luffy because Luffy's kind of like he's like a naive like boy basically, right? He's a child.
Yeah.
He's just like a happy-go-lucky child that's like naive to the world. So it in the mind of a foolish child, that's how adults fight. Is they say super moves and shit. But then the actual adults in the show that should know better actually do that. So Luffy is not wrong. That's why I'm like, when Zoro kind of chastises him, like, well, actually Zoro's wrong in a sense. I don't know. Like, how would you feel about that? Like, do you think they should like? I think they shouldn't have kept that.
Yeah. I mean, with Luffy, 100%. Like, it suits his character. But no, I'm with you on the other ones. Like, it kind of unnecessary. I mean, it's cool for the anime,
Right.
but
It works in an anime. I don't think it works in live action.
Yeah, the live action's a little
Human
odd.
beings don't call out, like, you know, they don't call out moves before they do them when they fight.
No, but I might start. Like,
Yeah, because of that, your influence.
I want to be a good fighter,
Right.
and it's what they do.
Right. I just think that was a poor decision. And then the biggest thing I want to talk about is and part of the reason I liked it, and it had a lot of hurdles to overcome for me, but the one that I think they didn't quite overcome it, but they got really fucking close, was it's a fine line because they're adapting something so fantastical as One Piece. It's a fine line between going cartoony versus more grounded. And they kind of had this impossible task of making it not too cartoony and while not going too grounded where it feels so far removed from the source material.
Yeah,
that
it's like a balancing act.
Bingo. And they got close. They pull it off. Some things work, some things don't. They're very close on like the tone. For me, it was like when I was watching it, I'm like the moments. I'm going to use two different creators to compare.
Sure.
So Tim Burton creates very fantastical. Are you familiar with his like resume of films?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So like a good example would be Edward Scissorhands. It's a very fantastical movie where, have you seen Edward Scissorhands?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the suburbs where all the houses are like just bright colors and it's not really our world. Everybody drives the same car and they all dress the same. And then there's this like mysterious professor who has this mansion on the hills that overlooks the whole town. It's like something out of like a storybook. So Tim Burton creates these very fantastical worlds that work because they still feel weighted into some realm of reality that is similar to us. We were able to look at like Batman, same thing, 89 Batman. You've got guys, Joker's henchmen are dressed up like the Joker, and he's got laughing gas, and there's all these fantastical things, but it still feels grounded enough.
Yeah, almost feels relatable.
Right, that we believe it. It's still believable. We're able to suspend our disbelief. But then you got somebody like Dr. Seuss. And this might sound a bit mean to compare One Piece to Dr. Seuss, but Dr. Seuss is very, like, nonsensical.
Yes.
Literally, Dr. Seuss is like the epitome of child imagination gone amok. It's like nonsense, it's nonsense vocabulary, nonsense worlds, nonsense imagery. That's his style. And I think what we got with the One Piece live action is somewhere in between those. I don't think like what I think they need to aim for more like the Tim Burton style, where it still feels weighted and grounded, where we believe the fantastical shit, and avoid going too Dr. Seussian. And a good example is like, so like characters like, okay, Zoro, he's pretty grounded so far, and I like that. He's just like a swordsman, and all of his fight scenes are some of the best in the series, like so far in the series for me, because it was just like stuntmen.
Yeah.
There was no special abilities or anything like that, right? Like, that we saw. Now, I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying though, those scenes translated really well. But then you've got characters like the fucking butler guy to the
Clawdor.
Right, who ends up being like the knife assassin guy.
Yeah.
When he showed up, I was just like, oh, fuck off. Because he's got like this cartoonish mustache and hairdo. Did he have a mustache, or am I making that up?
I don't think he had a mustache.
Okay, well, he had a cartoonish hairdo. I remember him looking cartoonish. Like,
yeah,
he didn't look. What is the character's name again? Because I'm gonna bring
Clawdor,
this up. Clawdor.
or Captain Kuro.
And what is he actually? Because they reveal like who he actually is. Who does he interact
It's
with?
Captain Black Cat Kuro. But did you notice the way he pushed up his glasses too? He kind of uses the palm of his hand. It's like it really stands out. I mean, it makes sense for his character because he's used to carrying around those fucking swords on his fingertips.
Okay, so here it is right here. So this fucking guy, he did not have a twirly mustache. I added that. But look at the way his hair, like, he looks cartoony. Like, especially when you look at this image and you see the two of them beside each other. Like, you see, like, the blonde girl is just a blonde girl.
Yeah.
But, like, look at him. And, like, he's got, like, the flaps on his collar are, like, rolled up because obviously, like now you can see the anime here. They're showing what it actually looked like. But, like, that's a detail you didn't need to adapt. You don't need to have the little twirlies. Just like Sanji didn't have the one twirly eyebrow because human beings don't really have that.
Yeah.
That's a good example where they didn't do a good job adapting it, in my eyes. I know it looks identical to the source material, but that reads as cartoony. So that's what I'm saying. The show is, it for the most part, pretty good at walking the line between fantastical and grounded. I'm saying it needs to do a bit of better job.
Yeah.
It was inconsistent, I think, for a lot of the characters.
Yeah, a little bit of a back and forth there.
This is my complaint, folks. Obviously, I'm a big snob, and I'm going to complain about all these things, but that's just how I felt. Overall, I did enjoy it. I thought the pacing was pretty good. I think it was a very good entry point for anybody who knows nothing about one. Now I know a lot about One Piece.
Yeah.
So like now it taught me a lot.
Well, you even know a little bit more than you should by this point.
Right. So it's definitely bottom line, it's well made enough, it's competent enough. I would recommend it as give it a shot. See what you think. Is it amazing? No, I don't think it's high art. Is it one of the better live action anime adaptations? Absolutely. And I think they did a pretty good job.
Now,
yeah.
I will add a couple other things I didn't really like.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Go for it.
The scene specifically when Zoro fought Mihawk, right? Great fight. But afterwards, when he's laying there and he has that moment, like, I'll never lose again. When he slaps his hand over his face, starts crying, it all felt kind of forced.
You mean like they were trying to recreate the iconic image?
Yeah, it
And
was
even I know that image, and I don't even know fucking One Piece, but I know that image of Zoro holding his eye going, I'll never lose again,
Yeah.
right?
Like
and,
it-
And doesn't that feel like how it should have come out?
Yeah.
But instead, it's kind of like he was trying to recreate that shot.
it kind of felt a little more like I will never lose again.
It-
Like it didn't feel natural.
Yeah, because they're trying to recreate a specific frame
Yeah.
from another thing. But okay, another example of that though, like when Shanks puts the straw hat on Luffy, did that shot work for you? Because even I know that shot, and I knew immediately. I'm like, oh, they're doing that shot. I thought it
wasn't-
worked.
I wasn't bugged by that one.
Yeah.
But what did bug me a little bit was the hat felt kind of small.
Oh, really? What a
Like
weird
I don't know.
nitpick.
Like it's like I feel like it should have been a tad bigger. Like weird critique, I know.
Hey,
But
if anyone's gonna make it, it's you, because
yeah.
you would notice.
It's like it just when he put it on Luffy's head, it kind of felt like, was a grown man really wearing that?
Interesting.
It's like I don't know, just something that stuck out for me.
Valid criticism. Valid.
But here, let me just double check here. I think I have covered everything I had to say about it. Yeah,
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I did a pretty good job at summarizing the material. I think it's gonna be good.
Excited for more to come?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So it's won you over so far.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's not great.
Yeah.
You know?
It's won me over enough that I'm going to watch more of it. It was entertaining enough.
Yeah.
It kept my interest. It's never going to end up in my collection. I don't think it's anywhere near, but I would say it was a solid 6 out of 10 show.
Yeah.
For me.
They did the show justice.
It was entertaining enough. Even if you don't like anime, give it a shot. See what you think.
Absolutely.
Don't expect Black Sails level of pirate show. I don't know if you've ever heard of that show.
I
before.
haven't. No.
That's like a top tier, made by Stars Network, super mature, like HBO quality show about pirates. So if you're like, oh, I love pirates, this is not that kind of show. you
Okay.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is different. It's not Black
Yeah.
Sails, but it's still pretty good. But you got to be willing to embrace the fantasy shit. So if it's fantasy pirates is what it is. Yeah. Why don't we start with your list first? So we're done with the live action One Piece. Let's get into our individual lists. So that was the cheat. So whatever you got, what did you watch?
Let's pick a good one to start on here.
Once again, this is summer 2023 for anyone who's just tuning in case you just skipped all the rigmarole about the live action.
In case you didn't want to hear one.
Exactly, in case you didn't want to hear any shit about that. Now we're getting into what we've watched over the summer.
All right, so this one, I want to see if the title makes you react the way it did me. It's Reborn as a vending machine. I now wander the dungeon.
So I watch most of my anime through illegal pirating sites. You watch them
Crunchyroll.
legally, right?
Yes.
I'm not quite there yet because 90% of anime to me fucking sucks. So I struggle with paying for it that way. I don't mind buying it on physical when I really like something, but for just trying shit, I use the pirate streaming sites. So when you go on those pirate streaming sites, they show you in the top banners all the new current shit that everybody's watching.
Yeah.
I saw that title pop up and I was like, what the fuck? This is not on my list. So take it away.
Maybe it should be on your list.
Really?
No, but
What's
so basic plot.
Yep.
A vending machine fanatic meets his demise when he is, quite ironically, crushed by a vending machine.
what the fuck is a vending machine fanatic?
He's literally just obsessed with vending machines. He knows
Like styles
any type style of vending machine, whether it be food, gasoline, balloons, you name it. I'm sure there's a vending machine for it because it sure as hell seems like it in the show.
Okay.
But basically finds himself reincarnated as a vending machine in another world.
Okay.
Now, I won't lie to you. I put this on my list because I was like, I need at least one that I'm not going to like. And no, I
And
fell
this
for
was
the
not
show.
that one.
Yeah, it
wow.
wasn't.
Okay.
So at first, I was sitting there and his death was comical, to say the least. He was literally on a bike following a truck with a vending machine in the back of it, like, oh my God, that's this style. That's awesome. And there's this terrible accident. The truck goes over this Like they were on like one of those roads, like the cliffside.
Yep.
It goes over, so does he, and the vending machine lands on top of him. And he wakes up as a vending machine. And my first thoughts, I'm like, what the fuck am I even watching? Why am I doing this to myself?
Well, it's like part of that new trend of isekais, which isekai is like you're reborn into a different world
like,
or
so
whatever.
I'm a spider, so what?
And that's exactly it's this new trend of like how far can we push the nonsense of it's some stupid situation that somebody's been reborn into.
Yeah. And they can push it pretty far.
I mean, and this is just the most recent example, but there's one where it's like I respawned as a sword and I respawned as a character with no magic abilities in a world with magic, or
Reborn as a slime or whatever.
yeah, well that one's very popular. But that's a good
awesome.
example of like it's just part of that trend.
Yeah.
So this is the most recent in a long line of ridiculous isekai plots.
Yeah. But this one, within 5 minutes, I'm sitting there like, this is stupid. I don't even want to watch this. And it started making fun of itself. And it kind of won me over, basically sitting there like, what the hell happened? He relives his death, all that. And he's real quick to just go, no, well, I guess I'm a vending machine now. And I believe I wrote down the exact quote here. He says, not sure what it says about me or my fandom that I just accepted this. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this show will be all right. You know, goofy, silly, fun. But
Sorry, I just brought up an image while you were talking there. It distracted you.
Like
that's what it fucking looks like?
Literally. Yeah.
That's the animation?
That is it.
Oh, I hate that he's got like big cartoony eyes.
Well, like, so we only see that when we're like hearing him talk and stuff. Like none of the other characters see him as that. They see him as just a vending machine.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like Brave Little Toaster or some shit, and he's got like a full face and he's like interacting.
No.
Oh, I guess it is like Brave Little Toaster because in Brave, have you ever seen Brave Little Toaster?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so in Brave Little Toaster, a bunch of household objects come to life and they're all like anthropomorphic, but we only see that when they're interacting with each other. When any humans look at them, they just look like appliances.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess it is like that.
In a sense, it's like Toy Story.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
But so he is not only just this vending machine for snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, he can change his inventory. He can purchase upgrades and become different vending machines.
At will?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't do anything like making him talk. So the way he communicates is like pre-programmed phases. So like, hello there. Too bad. You could even win a reward. Like, and he manages to communicate like this. Like, it's pretty quick. They start noticing that
This looks like it's a fantasy world.
it is 100%.
That was my next question because it's like born in another world. Is it just like another Earth, but it still like looks like our modern time, or it's why the fuck would a vending machine be in a fantasy world though?
Well, there definitely aren't any others.
That's So like, do the characters react as in like, what the fuck is this machine?
They think he's a magic item.
Ah,
They don't know what the hell a vending machine is.
right.
And the fact that he can shapeshift between different vending machines, like
So he would just appear as a magical object.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, they don't understand the technology that it's like a machine.
Yeah. And basically, he needs money to survive. So if he's sitting there for an extended period of time, nobody makes a purchase, he runs out of points, he dies.
Okay.
But he spawns in the middle of a fucking field with no one around.
Okay.
So the whole thing is him struggling to survive. And he encounters monsters before he encounters adventurers.
Can he move?
Not at all.
Oh, so he's completely immobile.
Yeah. And as luck would have it, he meets a girl whose special ability is super strength. And she actually carries him around on her back.
Okay.
But
is she aware? Like, do the characters become aware that like, oh, there's sentient life here?
yes.
Oh, okay. All
So real quick, like she was starving or something, like on an adventure, and she's incredibly clumsy. So she couldn't manage to like kill anything for food. And she stops at this vending machine and he says something like, please insert coins. She does it. He gives her like a cup ramen or something. And she's like, oh, this is amazing. And then she starts talking at him, not realizing that he understands. And through his like pre-programmed phases, he quickly makes it known that he does understand her.
He's able to communicate.
And then it gets to the point where she's like, "Do you understand me?" And he goes, "Hello there." And she goes, "Wait, is that yes? Hello there." And she goes, "So like, can you say like, no? Like what do we use is no?" And he says, "Too bad." So they have to talk to him like yes and no's.
Yeah. They come up with a code.
Yeah, literally. But like the combat in this world is like incredible considering like the nonsense that is this show. It's like he morphs into machines that just happen to help them in the moment because he's like, I think at one point they were fighting like an enemy that had something to do with fire, and he turned into like a gas pump. And they're like, "Oh, would this help us?" He's like, "Hello there." Like douse the enemies in gas and light it on fire.
Okay, so he's able to turn to that counts as a type of vending machine?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird. Like I don't know, the machine teaches them about safe sex.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's odd, man. Like I'm not kidding when this show is a joke, right?
But it won you over.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you watch the whole first season?
I did.
Oh, Jesus
every
Christ.
episode. It was hilarious. And the last couple episodes, the combat was next level.
It's funny.
Well, not even funny. It was kind of badass for a vending machine.
I'm not a huge fan of comedy animes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you are more than I am. Anything that you would compare this to? It comes to mind. This feels like something like, I don't know, The Devil's a Part-Timer or some shit like that.
Yeah, I guess kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know. I can't really think of anything else.
I mean,
that
I
has
guess
had,
the
like,
slime anime is probably the
to
closest,
some extent,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, I don't even, I can't think of anything.
It's its own beast.
Yeah.
But you liked it?
Oh, absolutely. It was
You'd
fantastic.
recommend it?
Absolutely.
Not to me, though.
No, not to you.
No.
I know you'd fucking hate it.
No, I just saw the image and I was like, yeah, I groan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw that image and I went, this show's gonna suck. Holy shit, it's amazing.
Animation was decent.
I mean, it
looks kind of generic.
it's basically, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't go wrong with it.
It looks like learn to draw like anime type models.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It's like
Serviceable.
Overall, it was good. I didn't really dislike anything about it because everything it kind of did came off as like it was making fun of itself, and I couldn't really find fault with that.
All right. Well, okay. Starting off with a positive. What was
Yeah.
it called again?
Reborn is a vending machine. I now wander the dungeon.
I now wander the dungeon. All right. That's your first, and you are recommending. What do I got? I got. I know this is one you watched. Zom 100.
Yes.
Bucket List of the Dead.
I've actually got a bit of a bonus for this one. Did you watch the live action as well?
No.
So I did.
Oh, you did.
So I am prepared to make comparisons.
Okay,
between
good.
the
Well,
two.
let's start with the anime. Basic premise is a kid named Akira. Well, he's not really a kid. That's actually one of the things I like about the show is he's a young adult. I don't remember how old he is.
I don't remember specifically, but I'd say anywhere between like 23, 27.
I'm gonna double check this because there's actually a specific point I wanted to make. Akira Zom 100 Akira age 24. Which is crazy old for an anime. Because, but 90% of anime characters are teenagers.
Yeah.
They're always between the age of, like, I don't know, 15 and 17. Like, they never make them adults for some fucking reason. I don't know why. This is a thing in anime.
Well, I guess because now, like, more like adults are starting to watch anime. It was a little less mainstream when anime first came out, right?
Okay, that kind of makes sense, but like I don't, it drives me fucking nuts. It's a trope that needs to end. They need to start having the balls to make characters that are actual adults and deal with adult problems. Again, that's the seinen fan in me that's like, give me more mature adult storylines.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tired of kids being the protagonist. So Akira is a young male adult, and he starts in the prequel to the show, the prologue to the show. He is a like plucky, energetic, excited to get into the workforce. He joins this company. I don't remember what they do. It's like a anime production company.
Yeah,
isn't it?
like all production. It's his dream job.
Right. It's like his dream job. He's like, I'm going to be a part of the production industry. And,
Yeah, I'm so excited to move up in this industry.
right. And then we flash forward and he's like just in this dead end rut, and he's just completely like disillusioned, miserable, borderline suicidal, hates his life, depressed, and the job basically crushes his soul.
Yeah. And it was to the point he was watching that zombie movie and he was like, I wish this was my life.
Right. I actually forgot they did that. I forgot they referenced like actual zombie shit in the show, which I'm not a fan of that when like zombie shows or zombie things reference other zombie things.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder how they didn't know how to deal with the zombies.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like that meta for those kind of stories, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if they didn't reference it, it'd also be like, oh, what, the next world that like doesn't exist, that fantasy idea, like that work of fiction. There's no zombies, but he's disillusioned with his life. He's miserable. He has this dead end office job where he gets literally abused by his bosses, like abused by his superiors.
Yeah.
Like they work him like a dog. He's basically like a slave to the company.
Yeah, working 48-hour shifts and
Right.
whatnot.
Right. Just killing himself for the job to the point where he has basically isolated himself. He has no social life.
Yeah.
His life is just this working for this company. That's it. He's a dog for this company.
And I think a great place where they showcased that was like the guys that were literally in sleeping bags under their desks. And the one guy's like, I've clocked 116 hours of overtime this week. And he's like, yeah, talk to me when you hit 200.
Yeah, which is that's a huge problem in Japan. And a lot of animes talk about this or incorporate this theme of like young or workers, basically people way overworking in Japan.
Yeah.
Like to unhealthy levels to the point where they're just like it affects their health. That's a huge problem. Overworking is a huge issue in Japan. So Akira is in this situation, and lo and behold, does not a zombie apocalypse break out in Japan. And because of this crazy situation, Akira finds a opportunity for a fresh start. He gets a new lease on life. He's suicidal, and then he decides, you know what? I do want to live.
Yeah, this is awesome. I never have to work again.
Bingo. And he ends up making that's why it's called Bucket List of the Dead. He basically is like, I'm gonna use this opportunity. I get a clean slate. The old me is dead now. I'm gonna become a new person, the person that sees his life, literally goes for what I've always, like the things that I want. I'm gonna go for them. I'm not gonna put things on hold anymore. I sacrificed. I gave away this huge chunk of my life to this fucking dead end job that made me miserable, made me sick, and I'm going to make a bucket list of things I want to do before I die.
100 things to do before I become a zombie.
Bingo. And he's just going, and he basically embraces life like 100%. And he's just trying to live life to the fullest. And I really liked this show. This was one of my favorite shows I watched this season so far.
No, it was awesome. I loved they didn't really show blood with the zombies. It was all like bright and colorful because life was restored through his eyes.
Yes, I liked. That's how you interpreted it, eh?
Yeah.
So so obviously it's a stylistic choice. So the zombies, I highly doubt in their world their blood is technicolored.
Yeah.
But in the style of the show, all of the zombies' blood is not red, it's not green, it's like a rainbow technicolor, all kinds of different bright. It's literally beautiful.
Yeah.
They made the gore beautiful.
Oh, they made it look so good.
This is a gorgeous eye candy show. For sure. It was visually, it is a looker. I really liked the visual flair of this show.
Yeah.
They made zombie attacks and deaths like just look beautiful, that's funny to say, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a zombie apocalypse tomorrow, I'd make a bucket list.
Yeah, you'd copy the main character.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, especially I like that stylistic choice. I like the plot. I think I noticed that like this reminded me a lot of this new trend in animes. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I noticed that in the last couple of years, a lot of animes now are kind of obsessed with this theme of a second chance, like rebirth. And I mean, that's kind of what isekais are, but I'm talking about not even just isekais. It's more like characters, for whatever reason, have a second chance to do things over. So like time travel is a big thing in these, like things like Relife. That's the one where the guy takes the pill, I think, and he turns into like a younger version of himself. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't recall that one.
Erased. Have you heard of Erased?
I've heard of Erased.
Right, where the guy goes back into the body of his like childhood self, but he still has the mind of like an adult.
Yeah.
This is a big trend now I'm noticing in modern era animes, is the idea of being able to start fresh, and you get a second chance at life, and you get a chance to become somebody different. And it's like you get to take the road not traveled.
Yeah, be the person that you want to be.
Right. And that seems to be a big trend now. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like it seems like it's becoming more and more common.
And I think part of the reason that's become popular right now is people are just fucking depressed at record levels.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's really the reason that this theme is getting injected. This plot idea is getting injected into so many different animes now. Is I think people are depressed at record highs. The idea of getting do-overs is just so enticing. I'll be honest, it hooks me. I'm obsessed with the idea of like what ifs, and what if you had made this decision and not that decision? How would that have played out? I love that plot idea.
Yeah, kind of makes you want to, for lack of a better phrase, grab life by the balls.
Yeah, I think that was how they would say it in Zom 100 for sure. Because the show is a little crude for sure. It's not. I don't remember it being like super mature. But the thing that it made. Okay, so what I was worried it was going to be was I was worried it was going to be High School of the Dead. Have you ever seen that?
I have. Yeah. Not the best for zombies.
I fucking hated High School of the Dead.
It's a little too etchy.
Right. It's like softcore porn is what it was. Yeah. So like 13-year-old me would have loved that show, but me as an adult watching it, I'm just like, I know what you're doing here, and fuck off. Like, just get me. I don't want this. And that's what that show was just fan service. It was a fan service show masquerading as a like Walking Dead zombie anime. That's what it was masquerading as, but that's not really what it was. It was to give little boys, it was to give teenage boys boners. That's what that's what High School of the Dead was made
that
for.
about sums it up.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. But Zom 100, thank God, is not that show. It's not. Is there even any fan service in it?
Not really. I mean,
there's some
I guess to some extent.
There's some nudity in it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
I mean, most of that's his buddy, right?
Right, but it doesn't feel shameless.
Yeah,
like it earns. Like the nudity is like the show is not. Surprisingly, I like the show. It is a comedy, but it's more of it's definitely an over the top comedy. Yeah, but it very much so feels like a dramedy at many moments. It gets serious when it needs to. It strikes a very good balance. For me, I like comedies that ride the line between comedy and drama for animes. I don't like when they go full ham. I usually check out with full ham animes. Shit like that vending machine crap that you just told me about. But this had a really good balance between like tonally, I felt.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to say there was one thing I didn't like, it would be just his buddy getting naked all the time. It just
is a little cartoony.
It doesn't make sense to me. Not really necessary.
Yeah, because like most like the odds of finding a real person that would be like that is very slim.
Yeah, it's like, this is my comedy. Like, hilarious.
Yeah. I really liked the show is fun, and Akira is very easy to root for because his ambitions are so quaint. Like his like what he ends up writing. So there's this running thing in the show, running plot point that he's constantly adding to his bucket list of the dead. He doesn't write down. I think it's 100. Is it 100?
Yeah, I think the show ended. He had like 27 points or something.
Right. It's not like after the first episode he just writes out all the 100.
Yeah.
He's constantly adding little things, and even characters he meets add things, and they influence him to add new things that he didn't think of before, experiences that he may never have thought of had he not met this person.
Well, it was a cool little bonding point, right?
Right. And I like that idea that other characters interact with his little bucket list.
Yeah.
And I like that he just doesn't have it all down and it's like, all right, we got to nail every one. He himself isn't aware of, he doesn't have it all. He doesn't have it all figured out. He's only 24. He hasn't experienced everything. And the more he meets people, he thinks of new experiences. But generally, most episodes revolve around he picks something on the list. He wants to, him and his friend he picks up the friend like episode 4, I want to say. Like it's not immediate. Yeah. It's not immediate. He rescues his old best friend.
I think it was like 3 to 4, yeah.
Yeah. And then his friend now joins him on his journey after Akira saves his life. And the two of them work together, and it's always simple shit like get a big screen TV.
Yeah.
And that's a whole episode.
Or like apologize to my friend or whatever.
So yeah, see, sometimes they're more weighty ones, and then sometimes they're just simple, stupid shit.
I don't recall if it was on his list because I did watch the live action, so there's a little bit of a mix up in my head.
Yeah,
but I think one of them on the list was going skydiving.
Okay, yeah, it's like that's a big one. Like, how do you pull that off during a zombie apocalypse? Yeah,
bit of a stretch, but hey, if you can do it,
he also he was able to become a superhero.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other fun thing is like some of the ideas he kind of has to adapt because you're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things where it's like when he was a kid, he wanted to be a superhero. So he puts on the list, I want to be a superhero. But so then he actually has to think it out like, well, what does that actually mean? Like if you were as an adult actually tried to do that, and I liked that episode. I thought it was a really fun episode.
But about that episode, what'd you think of the shark?
It's a little too stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate part. That's one of those moments where I had trouble suspending my disbelief. For the most part, the zombies, they're like modern zombies where they run. They don't really do the some do, but most of them charge full sprint at you. It's typical zombie rules. You get bit, you become a zombie after a certain period of time, you get infected. It's a very biological weapon zombie outbreak from what I can tell so far. The shark, this is in the superhero episode, felt very cartoon. It felt very
goofy.
Well, it felt very Resident Evil-y.
Yeah.
Like literally, we just beat Resident Evil 1 not that long ago. The whole zombie shark shit. It reminded me of that. But I mean, if Resident Evil was able to pull it off, then I guess why not this show?
Like it was cool.
It's kind of cool.
Definitely cool.
But it was kind of stupid.
Odd. Yeah.
So we should say the shark is in the episode where he's trying to become a superhero, he ends up at the aquarium rescuing a group of people, and there is a shark that is a zombie that has consumed several people, and the people they're still alive inside the shark as zombies, and their legs have literally broken through the bottom of the shark's underbelly. And they are it's even hard to describe it, but basically picture a shark with legs.
Oh, literally a shark centipede.
It's literally what it is. So I think it's like 2 or maybe even 3 people inside the shark. I don't remember.
I think there might be a few more than that, to be honest.
Okay.
I think I counted like at least 10 feet.
Well, there was a bunch of people inside the shark, and their legs have punctured through the bottom of the shark's belly, and they are now moving the shark around. Not intentionally. They're just zombies, so they're just trying to get victims. But as a result, you basically have a shark that's running after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
And
is
it gets fast.
it gets super fast. Yeah,
Like way too fast for human feet.
considering the weight of how heavy that shark probably was. Yeah, I don't even know that 10 humans could lift a shark that size.
Yeah.
That thing probably weighed over a ton. Like, I mean, whatever, right? That is one of the goofier moments. Yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, I was not a fan of that. I like it when it stays more grounded. You know, stay a little bit more grounded. You can do the comedic shit. You can stretch things. But there's moments like that take me out of it. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't finish it because it's not done yet, I don't think. They're having some fucking production issues. Do you know about this?
That's all I know about it. Anywhere I looked, all I could find is production issues, which
But it doesn't specify.
I kind of feel like it's a cop-out, to be honest.
Okay.
It's like Attack on Titan was straightforward when they took their like 5-year hiatus. It's like, we ran out of source material. We don't want to go off script.
Right. We're going to
So
take
they
a break.
put it on hold.
Right, which was the smart, responsible thing to do.
And this one's just like delay an episode, delay another episode. Okay, we're going on hiatus for, I don't know, whenever.
Yeah, I know. Oh, like it caught me off guard because I was watching it. I was like binging it, watching it like boom, 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 because it was all on Netflix. And then it just suddenly there was no episodes, and then it was like next week, oh no, new episode. Next week, oh new episode. And then I finally had to type it, and I thought like, was episode? Because I think it stopped at like episode 7 or 6.
9.
So is that the last one that came out?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I think I stopped at 7, and I think there was no new episodes. It was like, because have you watched it all?
I have.
There's like some samurai chick, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I stopped, I only saw an image of her in the Netflix, like, info page, but that episode was never on, and I still haven't watched it. And like, it was several weeks, they still hadn't uploaded that episode, whatever it was. It was like 7 or 8. And I kept waiting, and I'm like, what? And then to the point where I thought, oh, I guess maybe that last episode was the ending of the first season. And that's just a short season,
Yeah.
But then when I looked it up, it was like, no, there's delays and all this shit. So, but I really liked it. I would recommend it if you like, it is violent. It is definitely violent, but it is colorful violent. So it's not, if you're opposed to gore, you could still watch this show because the way they stylize the gore. I think it is a fun, engaging story, and it rides a good balance between like drama and comedy. And I think the characters are likable, the animation's gorgeous, and I think it keeps you engaged. I'm enjoying it, and I definitely want to watch more.
Yeah,
So.
it's fantastic. I really do hope they bring it back.
Now tell me about the fucking live action. Because
so-
this it's also, can we comment how fucking weird it is? They're like, they greenlit an anime and a live action like simultaneously.
Yeah. And the live action came out before like half of the episodes of the anime did.
Yeah, weird.
But
Is there more episodes of the live action? Like, is the live action done?
So
the first
live
season?
action is just the movie, right?
Oh, it's a
and
movie.
It basically wraps up where they did with the anime, more or less. You actually get a tiny bit more from the anime. But I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I just took a few points here. But they did a pretty good job summarizing the story. They did tweak a couple minor details, like they put a couple segments together, like that bit with the camp that they were a part of briefly there with the aquarium were kind of together. The shark zombie was in it. They did a hell of a job doing the CGI on that. It looked fantastic.
Oh,
for
really?
What it was.
Interesting.
Like, it still looked goofy.
Oh, okay.
But the shark looked terrifying,
Yeah.
and it was beautiful.
That's impressive. My first question is, did they retain the multicolored?
No, they didn't.
I
mean, like,
that kind of
they did
ruins
make
it
it
for
that
me
little
a
bit more grounded.
No, but like,
like-
the multicolored blood?
Yeah.
They don't do that?
No, it's
it's
just
just
regular blood.
That
So,
to
like-
me kind of kills the vibe of the show. 'Cause
Yeah.
the show is very like fun and uplifting,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be like from tragedy comes something positive.
Yeah.
Like I like that message, and I think that's the point of the multicolored blood. I think that's what you're supposed to. So to me,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's just regular blood. It's
Well,
like
it literally restored color to his world, right?
right.
But no, they did opt for just regular old blood.
Interesting.
But they also kind of paid a little bit more attention to like the bucket list, right? it wasn't like he was just goofing off or anything. Like, there was a whole section where he was just completing stuff on his bucket list. They actually did pull off the skydiving in the live action.
That was already in the first season? Or, sorry, it's a movie. I gotta...
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, they checked a lot of stuff off his list. But they focused a bit more on that than they did, like, the actual story, which was okay. Like, they didn't break anything with it. And they definitely paid a bit more attention to, like, bond building between the survivors.
Okay.
So that was also pretty cool. You know, we got to see a bit more of his relationship with that girl. And, no, not really much more to say about it than that. Like, it was good overall. It wasn't exactly the same. It's just another zombie movie.
Okay. Is it even necessary? Like, that's my question. Is like, why even do it?
You don't have to watch it, but the one thing I will say
is there any advantage over the anime? That's my real question.
It has an ending.
But, so... When they have an ending, do you think that ending was just made up now? So it's like...
So basically what it was they just stopped before the next adventure.
Okay.
And they set it up like it's the scene where they're all like, oh, I'm going to add stuff to the list too. And then they set out on their travels to continue their adventure.
Right.
So it's kind of open-ended. Like, they could continue it if they wanted to do another movie.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's satisfying. Like...
Okay,
they've
so
done
it's
their
satisfying enough that it's almost self-contained.
Yeah, it could wrap it up if, say, the anime never came back.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
But, yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Overall, you don't have to watch it, but, I mean, if you like Zom 100 and you want a little bit more...
Did you watch Sweet Home?
No.
You know what it is?
I do, yes.
Because that was live action, and I was curious. Like, I actually read the entire manga. I really liked the manga.
Yeah, that's the one with the boy with the antlers, right? Or am I thinking
No,
of something different?
no. You're thinking of... Okay, so... No. There's like the Korean Sweet Home. I think it's Korean. Apologies if it's not Korean, but I think it was a Korean webtoon. No. There's the actual, like... the Korean manga series, which I don't know what that, they have a different word for it, but the webtoon series called Sweet Home, and that's about people turning into monsters.
Oh, okay.
You're
so
thinking...
it's not at all what I was thinking.
No. I forgive you for being confused, though, because not long, like right around the time that Sweet Home, the one I'm referring to, came out, the Sweet Home you're thinking of with the little boy who has the antlers, that shit came also, and they're both on Netflix.
No.
So you'd be forgiven for confusing the two. But it's Sweet Home kind of reminds me a little bit about Zom 100. It's similar kind of idea where it's like it's an apocalypse, there's monsters, it's a horror, a lot of horrific imagery, and then the main character just kind of resigns himself to like use this opportunity to change his life.
No, okay.
Yeah,
So.
it's like in Sweet Home, he's like a shut-in. And then he ends up like breaking out of his shell, deciding he wants to live, and then he ends up befriending other people. Yeah.
So it's not quite the same, but it is the same.
Got a very similar vibe. And
Okay.
that one had a live action adaptation. I was just curious if you had seen it and liked it.
I have not.
Okay, obviously not, yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought it was the boy with antlers.
Right, yeah. Well, that's close enough. Yeah, close enough. Did you watch that one with the boy with antlers?
No.
Okay, yeah. It looked like such shit. I just picked Zom 100. What do you got next? What's next on your list?
Okay, that's those two. I will go to Atelier Ryza.
This is based on
the
video game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I actually did.
Does this count? Wait a minute. Are you cheating? Is this just something you happened to watch during the summer, or was this actually a new summer anime?
It was new.
Okay.
And I watched it, and I actually ended up getting the game just so I could kind of compare the two.
Where did you buy that game?
Honestly, it might have been at Fly By Night.
I think it was.
I buy so much there. I don't know anymore.
Shameless plug for my store.
But yeah. So basic plot: Ryza is an ordinary girl, tired of her boring village life, and she escapes the village to gather with her good friends in a secret location. They talk about their dreams, plan thrilling adventures. But one day, determined Ryza and her friends decide to head to for the Forbidden Island across the sea. And
okay.
When I say
it's a very generic like fantasy plot.
I kind of
set on an adventure for the sun.
But
give me some more nitty gritty.
So basically, for her village,
Yep.
leaving the island is taboo,
Right.
Like nobody does it because it's believed like you're gonna curse the island.
Mm-hmm.
But they end up leaving. They encounter monsters and they more or less get their ass kicked. But they meet some other people from outside the island. They were coming in on like a trade convoy. And she meets a guy who is an alchemist. And she pushes him to teach her alchemy. And like the alchemy in this isn't like Full Metal Alchemist where you can just kind of throw ingredients in.
That was my
circle
next
and-
question. Was like, is this like Full Metal where you can use? It's like battle magic, basically.
It's kind of like typical like witch stuff. Like you throw the ingredients in a pot, mix it together, and your stuff comes out.
So you can't create like stone golems to like fight for you and shit.
No,
Okay.
but you can create cool swords.
All right, that's something.
But yeah. So she
Is
starts.
there magic other than that though in this world? Like, can you like
They-
cast a fireball or?
They
some
do
shit?
have spells. Yeah.
Okay, so there's also like generic magic.
Now, they did make some changes from the game to the show, which I won't fault them
I don't
for.
know a fucking thing about the game series other than
So-
they are needlessly confusing titles. I know that.
Yeah. So the show, the one girl, I believe her name was Claudia, has. So yeah, the video game, she has a flute,
Okay.
which doesn't really make much sense. She plays a song, it hurts a monster. Or in some cases, she'll like twirl it, flick it at them, and it works like a boomerang or something. But in the anime, she actually learned to use a bow, which makes a bit more sense to me.
I don't know. I
Like-
like the idea of a battle flute.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But yeah, other than that, their abilities kind of remain the same. Like the one uses a staff, another has a hammer, the other's a sword.
What's the main conflict of the show? Like, what is the? So it's just a group of. So it's a girl that is like, It's basically like Belle from like fucking Beauty and the Beast, where
Yeah.
she's like, I get so bored of this mundane life. Like, I gotta leave this village. You know, it's like that kind of
Yeah.
idea. Then she leaves, and then she meets this handsome dude that knows alchemy. Is that what I'm hearing so far? Or did I
Yeah,
just
more or
make that
less.
up?
But
And
she
then she brings a group of friends with her, or she's making.
she brought a group of friends with her. She does make one from like the convoy.
Okay.
But
What are they trying to do? They just want to see the rest of the world.
basically, yeah, they want to become adventurers
Okay.
because they're tired of being sheltered and trapped on this island with nothing.
So it is Belle.
Literally,
I'm
yeah.
tired of this
But,
mundane life. What is that line? I gotta look that up. Go ahead and keep talking.
So basically, what it turns into is this adventure of hers is kind of like showing light to the villagers that, you know, life outside the island isn't so bad. It's like she does start using alchemy to kind of help around the village. So like in the video game specifically, there are like quests where like you craft stuff for people around the village to maybe help build stuff or whatever.
I found the lyric. There must be more than this provincial life. That's the line. Now we both know. That was important. That was worth it. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh God, I don't remember. It wasn't as important as that.
It's all right.
No,
Continue.
but yeah, so she crafts items for villagers, helps them with tasks that they have to do.
Right.
And they actually did a pretty good job of adapting that for the anime. It's
Okay.
like they don't show all of the side quests. They cut out some of it to, you know, make it make more sense or fit a couple extra details in.
How many episodes was this?
12.
Okay.
But yeah, they throw in some of the side quests. They cut out some of the crap. Like there's some random side quest. You can get a piece of paper from a goat. It puts a hoof print on it.
How the fuck? So what is the? Because like you've obviously bought many of these games now off of me.
Yes.
They're all role playing games. They're just
Yeah, they are.
RPGs.
So like basically you just do alchemy and equip your adventurers for battle.
But what is in the video games? What are you trying to? What's the central conflict? What are you trying to like overcome? Or,
So it starts out
What are you
like
trying to beat?
escaping island life, whatever, but they encounter an enemy who is impossible to beat, but, you know, not really.
and he threatens the
impossible
whole
to-
world, or
Not he, it.
it.
It's
Okay.
some like dinosaur looking crystal monster thing.
Yeah.
and it comes from another world.
Right.
So it quickly becomes like there's this alternate world, and they need help. Well, sorry. It's not that they need help. It's like these monsters are coming from this other world, but it's a result of human interaction from their world. They were stealing resources from this other world, and it caused the monsters to come over.
Oh, okay. And is that the same conflict that arises in the anime as well? Like
Yes.
That's what that's what becomes a larger threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a dragon. They fight the dragon just because. Well, I
What
shouldn't
is the
say
point
just
of
'cause.
the alchemy? Like, I still can't get over the fact that it's not like battle alchemy.
So they basically make items, like magic items to use in battle.
Okay.
So she can make bombs or...
And that was
I don't
like a big mechanic in the video games or something?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Okay, so
literally-
crafting.
in the game, you've got your level,
Yeah.
and then you've got your alchemy level.
Right.
And based on the level of item you can forge, the stronger your character is.
And you can
Right.
forge like what, magic swords and like flame
Uh,
axes and shit.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
But like as you level up your alchemy, you can put more items into the weapons you're crafting, so they become stronger. And then you can like reforge them and stuff,
Okay.
give them better abilities. But like,
Is this fun to watch though? Like is that because like alchemy?
I mean-
because considering it's not it's not Full Metal Alchemist, right? Which is
Yeah.
obviously very visually engaging. You got like, him creating like stone fists that are flying at
Yeah.
Scar, and Scar blows them up with his hands, and
so
that's
they,
all fucking crazy. But
they
it's,
don't focus so much on the alchemy. Like,
Right,
it's there.
right. I would think they would.
But basically what it is like they'll come back from an adventure, and there'll be like a tidbit in the episode
They
where they're
mention it.
crafting an item or
right.
something.
Okay.
An item they need for their quest. But aside from that, you'll like occasionally see her craft whatever. Like maybe she there was an older woman thinking of a specific flower, and it turns out that it's not just the flower that she remembers. There was like a fragrance to it
Okay.
that wasn't natural to the flower. So she makes something like that for this woman.
So, do you think the anime justified its existence? Like, did it need to exist? Did you like it?
I didn't mind it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
But did you think it complemented the video game it was based on? Where you're like, oh, this was great. I liked this.
I mean, it didn't take anything away from it.
okay.
Was it necessary? Maybe
Like,
not.
Does it need to
I mean,
exist? That's really my question.
if you like the game, you'll like the anime.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't know. In the game, it's just kind of cool to craft shit.
Does it
so.
bring anything new to the table that again like enhances it over the video game?
Not really. No, they just kind of tell the story, right?
What was it called again?
Atelier Ryza.
Atelier Ryza.
Yeah.
Is it Atelier or Atelier?
I've heard both.
Okay, because I've always been calling that series the Atelier Alchemist.
Well, I
of
think that
Shivers
is
or
technically the proper way, but
Okay.
I don't know. Who am I to? make
It's
that
on
decision?
your list. You get to call it whatever you want.
Exactly.
Buddy.
I'm glad you realized that.
You're deciding for us all. Anything else you want to say? about
No,
the Atelier?
I think that just about wraps it up.
Is that a recommendation for you?
Yeah, I mean, if you like the game, you'll like the show. But
if you don't know anything about
I-
the video game, though, would you still? Is it okay as its own thing? Engaging enough?
you might actually find it a little more interesting.
Do you think
'Cause,
we'll
I mean,
actually get a
like-
second season or anything?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it was good.
Like, but what else would they adapt? Because I'm assuming it adapts the video
So-
game.
They didn't do the whole game.
Oh, okay.
They
All
did
right.
maybe a quarter of it, so they are set for a couple seasons.
Yeah.
And then for that specific game, I think there are 3 parts. So there's literally Atelier Ryza 1, 2, and 3. So they could technically adapt all of it, and assuming they did a couple seasons for each, they could go for a while.
Okay. Recommendation from Johnny there. Here comes one I do not recommend. I watched My Happy Marriage.
I think I heard about this one.
This was on Netflix, and I'll be honest, I'm a sucker for romance. This is going to shock some people here, but for some reason, I have a soft spot for love stories and romance things when they're done well. And I'm very picky about what I like and what I don't like. There's a very specific kind I like. This wasn't one of them. So, basic plot of My Happy Marriage is Mio. I wrote down the character's name here. Mio is this young girl who is this takes place in feudal Japan. She's a young girl, the daughter of two daughters in this noble family, and she is the pariah and outcast in her family. She has a stepsister who is more attractive than her and also has supernatural abilities that she does not possess, making her a much better marriage candidate. Because at that time in Japanese culture, wealth was often attained through marriage. That was a big thing among nobility, was like marrying off your kids to increase your household, yada, yada, increase your power.
You got to have something to offer.
You consolidate your power and blah, blah, blah. So Mio is in love with this other young guy, and through a twist of fate, again, she is the pariah of her family. She's almost like an outcast in the family. So the father doesn't necessarily like he looks down on her, but he's not necessarily cruel to her. But the stepmom, because she was born from the father's first wife who passed, the stepmom hates her because it's not her daughter and treats her basically like a servant in the house.
Something like a Disney movie.
Very much like a Disney movie. Does this sound like we're referencing Disney movies?
Cinderella?
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it's like. It's like Cinderella. This is what every anime is based on, folks. They're all based on Disney movies, apparently, according to us. So it's like the story of Cinderella, and the evil stepsister gets betrothed to the guy she's in love with, and she gets betrothed to this guy that is he's well respected in the community, but he has a terrible reputation in marriage. So he's already had several previous marriages where the woman could not stand him and literally fled from him, basically, because he has a high standing in the community. He's a high ranking official in I guess they're pseudo police / military. So he's again, has very high status, but apparently he's a cold hearted, mean son of a bitch.
Oh, basically how you picture Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Actually, I would say more so how you would picture the prince before he becomes the beast.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, he's a
snob.
He's like a fuckface in the beginning of Beauty and the Beast. Right. So that's more what people think of him as. So this is actually a bad thing that she gets betrothed to this guy. And then she ends up going there, and what follows is I only watched the first 2 episodes. I didn't like it. It didn't hook me at all. I stopped watching it very quickly. So I'm not remembering everything, but she ends up going to this guy's house, and she decides, you know what? This is my fate. I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to try to make this work. Even though many other women have failed before me, and apparently this guy is a mean, cold-hearted piece of shit, I'm going to try to make the best of the situation.
Can't be worse than your stepmother.
Exactly. It can't be worse than what I came from. And then obviously I stopped watching, but I can already infer what does happen is, turns out his cold exterior is just a front, and he actually has a heart of gold, and he ends up being a really good guy, and he's just abrasive to people because of trauma from his past. And she slowly warms him up, and he slowly gives her more of a backbone and confidence. And I could see little the beginnings of that.
Yeah.
Starting.
Just straight cliche.
It's cliche as fuck. And it's just, none of the characters are particularly interesting. It's not amazingly well animated. It's just competent. Nothing particularly stood out to me. And there's this whole bit about the characters have supernatural abilities, and it feels so tacked on. I never got into it, but it's the guy that she gets betrothed to, that Mio gets betrothed to, the cold-hearted guy, he has supernatural abilities. I don't remember what he can do. He can summon flames or some shit. And in this world, in feudal Japan, there's ghosts exist, but it's the yokai.
Yeah.
Like that idea, like Japanese ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's yokai and there's like poltergeist type spirit entities.
So to some extent, they're kind of like Ghostbusters.
That's exactly what it is. Yes. You're making the show way more interesting than it is. And he has like some sort of abilities, and he's actually part of like a military force that's like, or a police force that they're meant to counter the poltergeists when they like these evil spirits basically.
Okay.
And her bloodline is supposed to have supernatural abilities, but she didn't get born with them. I guarantee she later develops them.
She'll have an awakening or some shit.
Oh, and I'm sure that not only will she have awakening, turns out she's even more powerful than her evil stepsister. And
An ability we haven't seen in hundreds of years.
right. I didn't get there. I'm certain that's where it was going.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck. I didn't hook me. Do I recommend it? Fuck no. It's generic as shit. It's not super creative. It's just kind of just whatever. I don't know. There's just I don't have much to say about it. You know?
I don't know, man. You're making me want to watch it.
Yeah. It is no Beauty and the Beast. It is no Cinderella. Do you want a recommendation? Watch Cinderella. Cinderella's way more enjoyable. At least you get the fucking wisecracking rats or mice, whatever the fuck they were supposed to be. And you get some good songs. You know? That's all I got to say about it. I don't have much to say. I didn't like it. So.
It's a Disney movie with no musical.
No musical, no interesting characters. It's just basic tropey plot. It was paint by numbers anime. You could just, I guess it was very popular though. But I mean, of course, I like everything that nobody else likes, and everything I don't like, everybody seems to love. So
Sounds about right.
Yeah. What do you got next? That's all I got to say about that.
All right, so this one is probably my favorite of my picks.
Oh, Jesus. Hype it up much.
It's The Great Cleric. So, another isekai, because why
Did not watch it. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Tell me about The Great Cleric.
Basic plot, salaryman collapsed from a gunshot wound. When he came to, he had been reincarnated in another world as a 15-year-old healer with a talent for holy magic named Luciel. In order to survive in this new world, he first decides to build up his body and begins intensive and strict training.
So it's another isekai.
Yep.
I'm seeing a trend here. I think you like isekais.
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, all right.
So I started watching these anime and I went, fuck, maybe I have a couple too many isekai.
Yeah, I'm like, it sounds like you have a thing for this format, but continue.
Hey, maybe I will be reborn into another
I'm
world with cool
right. I was
powers.
going to say, somebody has some sort of fantasy here.
It's better than having a sister complex,
back.
right?
Yeah, right. I wish I would come back as a magic vending machine.
I don't know enough about them. That doesn't suit me.
Right.
I'll come back as a One Piece character or something.
Reborn as a podcaster in a fantasy magical world.
So, no, this...
I have a podcast in a fantasy dungeon. I have a podcast in a world without animes. So then what would you talk about on the podcast? See? Then you'd have to overcome it.
Maybe I'd read some cool books.
It's a battle anime. I'm interrupting. Go ahead. Let's shut the fuck up.
Sorry. Let me just collect myself.
After that nonsense.
No, but so he goes to this world and it's something like a video game. He basically wakes up and there is a menu in front of him. He's got to like pick his character name and starting abilities. And if he doesn't,
I just want to say I hate what you're saying right now, just because there's so much like I'm tired of hearing this exact plot of like he dies and he wakes up and he's in a video game. Like I think we can do better. But all right, I'll shut the fuck up. I'm just tired. This is such a basic formula that you're telling me right now.
But yeah, so he picks his stats and all that. He decides he wants to have healing magic.
Right.
But he also wants to have some like stats like a warrior. He goes, joins like an academy for healers and starts honing his abilities for healing magic. And pretty quickly he encounters situations where his abilities are needed and he isn't skilled enough to save everyone, and it devastates him. Like someone died and in his mind it is directly his fault because he couldn't save them. So he sets out to become even stronger. So his whole thing is just becoming strong enough because he wants to be able to save anyone and everyone. And then he decides, if I'm going to be adventuring, maybe healing isn't all I need. I have to have combat. So he goes to like an adventurer's guild. And when he intends to join, they all look at him like he's a monster. You know, because as it would turn out, this world hates healers.
Okay, what a very specific detail.
So healers in this world are scumbags. They overcharge for basic healing spells. Because the idea is like, if you need a healer, you're dead because you can't afford to pay to survive,
So
basically.
this is set in the United States.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But
Take that, our southern neighbors.
so basically, it's if they need cough syrup, they prescribe chemotherapy.
Right.
No, but it'll be like, instead of a basic healing spell, they're like, oh, well, I know advanced healing magic. Why wouldn't I use that and charge for that?
Right.
But he's very like, down to earth, and he cheaps out for everybody. It's like when he joins the guild, one of his conditions for joining was he would offer healing to anyone and everyone that needs it. So very quickly he fits in with the like adventurers and everything. Great asset to their team, and goes under rigorous training with the like leader of the guild. But then the healers don't like him because he's undercutting their business. How are they going to overcharge if this guy is, instead of like 3 gold coins, he's charging a single copper bit, So he goes under all this rigorous training, and very quickly these other healers try to step on his toes, get in the way, and have him relocated to places where maybe he won't be able to heal as many people. But of course he finds workarounds, and they kind of did like a speed run of his development too. It's like, it wasn't, hey, I'm reborn with these amazing abilities. He actually put in the work, and it was like every day he would exhaust himself to the point that he was literally unconscious. And then the next day he would wake up and do it all again. He'd train as a warrior, and then he'd train all of his healing. So he'd spend the entire day like life or death training. And when that was done, like a group of adventurers would walk in, and he would exhaust his healing abilities, fixing them for free.
So what is the central like conflict of the show? Like, what is he trying to achieve? He's just trying to like be the best he can in this world? Is he trying to like, is this a new lease on life? I'm going to act much differently than my previous life. Like, what's his motivation?
So what he wants is a world where anybody can afford medical care.
Oh, so he's trying to reshape that world.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's a socialist, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No, but so the whole thing is him just trying to make it possible for everybody to survive instead of the rich.
Right.
Yeah, he's sort of like Robin Hood of healing.
He is speaking blasphemy right now. And I'm not for this pinko propaganda shit, but continue.
Yeah, so that's basically the whole conflict of the show. Like, there is like a dungeon he has to go in to cleanse spirits. And the whole point of it is like there are multiple levels. No one's ever made it past, I don't remember how it works, like floor 17 or something. Nobody really knows like the point of this dungeon. But
so once again, he's actually in a video game?
So
he's got stats and shit, and you said there was a fucking menu.
Yeah, so it's
a little vague on that.
Yeah, it doesn't really say
they don't
it's a video game,
but
they act like it is.
Yeah, right.
He can open up a menu to check his stats, right?
Yeah, which is very, yeah.
But, he explores this dungeon. He's working his way through it, making enemies of all the healers and friends of all the adventurers. He's the exact opposite of what everyone else in this world is.
So he's trying to change everyone by example.
Yeah, trying to reform society.
I'm going to be a good person, and others will follow my lead.
Yeah,
yeah. So why you said, did you say it was your favorite?
Yeah.
Why? What is like,
so-
what hooked you so much? Because it sounds very generic-y to me. So you tell me what made it special to you.
I don't know what it was specifically. It's just like
Do you want to heal people, John? Is that what's
yeah.
going on here?
I want to start with the soul.
Right,
You know?
right.
No, but I just liked the whole idea that like there are so many anime where it's just like, oh, this guy's totally badass. He has these natural abilities. Like, what was that one I picked last season? The Aristocrat's Otherworldly Adventure. He was born in that world and quickly
I just
given
think of-
godly abilities.
Right. You mean animes where the main character's OP?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's no shortage of those.
Like, he worked for it, and on top of that, they technically gave him steroids. But it's like there was a grind.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he woke up one day with that power and we got to see that evolution.
Right.
But it's not like Luffy setting out on his adventure, you know? Or Naruto turning the switch and becoming this badass ninja. It was like he grinded real hard to achieve everything he did.
Are you saying that Luffy and Naruto didn't?
Well, they did off camera. Well, Naruto kind of did it on screen. But like at the same time, he had that like demonic ability inside of the Nine Tails, right?
It's got like some super secret
like
ability, right?
Yeah, like this guy doesn't have that.
It doesn't feel like the same. Yeah.
It's like he picked a couple stats, which, funny enough, just happened to be the right ones for everything he wanted to accomplish in this world.
Right.
But no, he did put in the work to become an awesome fighter and an excellent healer and learn all these spells. It's like he saves up his money, buys a spell tome, and studies the spell until he can do it. But after he learns it, it's never really a guarantee. It's like I mentioned, he tried to save that group of people and a few of them died. And that's because he ran out of magic before he could heal them all. Because he cast the spell on the first one and it failed twice.
Okay.
The third time it took, and then he's like, crap, I can't mess up anymore. Someone's going to die. Well, he messed up a couple more times and he lost a person or two.
Right.
So it wasn't like, hey, you have this power, you can save everyone. It was like, here's this power, but you've still got to be good enough to use it.
Is this a comedy or a drama or?
I mean, there is like a bit of comedy to it, but more or less it is kind of drama.
Okay, so it's taken more seriously, which I appreciate. That tone makes me more interested in this.
Yeah.
Is there are the characters good other than the main guy? Does he get like comrades, or we haven't really seen that yet?
So he has friends, but no one really adventures with him because like he got moved to like an entirely different city. And like there are definitely people that want to aid him in his journey. But so far he kind of adventures on his own, just goes where he's needed.
He's kind of a lone wanderer for the time.
Yeah.
Okay. How many episodes?
12.
You watched the whole thing?
I did.
Did you want to? Do you want more?
I would love more, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And I want to see him reform society. I want
wanna see-
America to have free healthcare.
Run on that platform. What's the main guy's name?
Lucille.
Lucille.
But also the way he died was kind of funny. I won't lie to you.
How's he die?
So basically, he's walking down the suit.
Vending machine related.
He's walking down the street in his suit with his briefcase on a way to a meeting or something.
Right.
And some guy like robs a bank or something. A security guard chases after him. And when he tackles the robber accidentally pulls the trigger on the gun and happens to shoot this guy.
Oh, okay.
So totally avoidable death. Should have just let the guy go.
Do you find that it's funny you said it, because that's another trope I'm noticing now is in these isekais, it's always some ironic death.
Yeah.
It's always some like happenstance, a thing happens and it's like, that's how I died? How lame.
Yeah.
It's always shit like that, or like, that could have been easily avoided. They don't seem to go with like, I don't know, I had a heart attack or something more grounded. You know,
Yeah.
I had an aneurysm.
Like, I died of old age.
Right. Well, see, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Why don't they start? That's a good question. Why not start an anime where a character's not in his 20s and then he respawns at the same age? How about he dies in his 80s and now wakes up in another world, but he's in the body of like his 20s.
See,
but he
what
has
I'm
the
thinking-
mind of like a, you know.
What I'm thinking is maybe someone will see this podcast and they'll take notes.
Don't hold your breath. One of you better make this fucking change in the anime industry.
excuse me, make my dreams come true.
Right. Fix the industry based on the words of two jackasses that have a podcast. Anything else you wanted to say about the cleric?
No, that sums it up. There wasn't really anything I disliked, so.
How does it compare to, I was going to mention this at the beginning. Last time we did a podcast, 2 times ago, you mentioned Dead Mount Deathplay.
Yes.
Watched it, liked it. Solid. I like the tone. It's not, again, I don't like comedic animes. I like one, like if you're going to be comedic, give me little bits of comedy and don't make it chibi bullshit because I hate that shit. That anime was not like that. It's got moments of levity for sure, but it's not fan servicey. It's not goofy. It's not we're nutty. It's just like it was more grounded and serious for the most part. And I dug it. I will watch more of Dead Mount Deathplay.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Is this... So I liked that recommendation. Is this kind of like that in any sense?
To some extent.
Obviously, the main guy's completely different.
This one, I don't feel like you'd appreciate it as much.
Okay, you don't think I would like this one?
I mean,
okay.
you might surprise me. I mean, you surprised me with the live action One Piece, but
it was decently well made.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by the fine folks at Fly By Night Movies, Games, and Toys. Fly By Night Movies, Games, and Toys is your one-stop shop for everything cool and collectible. We are located in the heart of downtown Oshawa. That is Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. If you're looking for movies, video games, and toys, check us out. We are worth the drive. That's everything you have to say about that one?
Yeah, that's all I've got for this one.
Let's keep it going. Okay, my next one is massive. This is such an undertaking. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this brief. Vinland Saga Season 2.
Okay.
Do you know what Vinland Saga is?
I've seen the first season. I haven't gotten to the second one yet.
Okay, so it's a bit of a cheat because the second season came out this year, and it came out during the period we're talking about, right?
Yep.
But I'm not really going to talk about the second season. I basically am just going to gush about the first season. So when Vinland Saga Season 1 came out, originally, I tried to get into it, and it didn't hook me for some reason. And then Season 2 just came out, and everybody's gushing about it, saying it's one of the best new animes, in the top 10 of the decade. Like, tons of praise being heaped on this anime. And I'm like, all right, I got to give it another fucking go. So I gave it another shot. It's all on Netflix. Holy fuck, is Season 1 good?
Yeah.
You've seen it.
I have.
Let's talk about it. Vinland Saga is one of the best new animes of the last decade.
Yeah.
It deserves that much praise. That's not an understatement or an overstatement or whatever. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? That's not an over exaggeration. That's like the truth. It's that good. Incredible. I'll just quickly set up the plot very quickly. The plot, it is a epic political drama, war drama, historical drama. Like, it is a very, very in-depth story, rich with narrative. But the basic plot is we follow a character. It's set in Viking times, which is like the 1300s or something. And it's when the Danish country is warring with the English. So it's the king of, what is that? Is it the king of the Danes? What the hell is that?
I don't recall.
Anyways.
It's been a minute.
So basically the Viking king is warring with England. And we're in a small village in Iceland, which is separate from where all basically the front lines of war. And the king is preparing to basically start this huge epic war with England, which is the first major arc of the anime. And there's this character named Thors. And Thors has a son named Thorfinn. Thorfinn is a young, plucky, blonde-haired boy who idolizes his father. Thors is a longtime veteran, ultimate badass Viking who has resigned himself to a life of peace. He doesn't want to be a part of war anymore. He's had enough of killing people. He becomes disillusioned with war and fighting and killing other people. And to the point where he actually fakes his own death as a way to
escape the life.
Right. And he ends up marrying Helga, I think is the name of his wife.
I believe so.
In his little village in Iceland, and raising his daughter and his son Thorfinn. Because of the giant war that's about to happen, the Danish king is conscripting anyone that is like able-bodied to join in this effort. And Thor's is kind of secretly hiding the fact that he's still alive, because technically it is against the law for him. Like, he should have actually been executed.
Yeah.
Because he basically...
He's a deserter.
He's a deserter. That's the word I was looking for. He's a deserter from the Viking, like, super army. And Thor's was so good, he was a part of the Jomsvikings, which is like the ultimate Viking army. It's basically the personal guard and army of the king.
Yeah.
They're like the badasses of the badasses. It's like one guy could kill a whole 100 people.
Quite literally.
Literally, that's how skilled they are. So, and Thor's, and among those people, Thor's was considered like the strongest. Right. So he gets conscripted, and they're basically just like, look, if you're a deserter, you should have been killed. If you don't join us, we're going to just massacre this whole village. So he's like, I'm fucked. I basically have to pick up my sword again. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. And you think that's where the story's going to go. So he goes with this ragtag group of young men from the village who are all excited at the prospect of war, because Vikings, their culture embraces war, embraces conflict. You're not really a man until you've taken the life of another man. That's how you earn your place in the afterlife, is through combat.
Dying outside of combat's basically a sin.
It's cowardice. Yeah. So it's all about like earning your place in Valhalla. And Thor's takes this ragtag group of young men from the village to join into the king's army. They end up getting ambushed by another man named, some people say, I've heard it pronounced Ashalad. I always pronounce Ascalad.
Yeah, I pronounce it Ascalad.
Yeah, Ascalad, but I've heard some people say Ashalad. So Ascalad is this like mercenary guy for hire, and he ends up getting paid secretly to take out Thor's before Thor's even gets a chance to like join the front line. And they ambush the ship. Thor's young boy Thorfinn, unknown to Thor's, sneaks aboard the ship. He's so desperate to join his father in battle, even though he's too young. Like the other young men that go with him, they're of age where they can join into the combat, but Thorfinn is like literally a little boy.
Yeah,
like I think he's like
6.
Yeah, he's really young. Like really young. Like he has no real combat training. Like he shouldn't be going into war.
Yeah.
He's not of the age. But he sneaks aboard the ship, and his father finds him and scolds him. But now he's fucked anyways because they're already out at sea. There's not really anything he can do. The ship gets attacked and ambushed by Ascalad, who is a genius level tactician. And even though no one in Ascalad's crew has the skills to take out Thor's could literally cut them all up, and he kills a bunch of Ascalad's men.
Well, he didn't kill them though. He just threw them all in the water.
Right, he doesn't end up killing them.
He fucked them up with his bare hands.
Right, but I mean, he literally just dismantles all those guys. Like, he's that good. But Ascalad, in a way, cheats and threatens Thorfinn's life.
Yeah.
He basically uses Thorfinn as a
like a hostage.
Yeah, a hostage. And Thor's. So at first, when you're watching the show, you think Thor's is the main guy, but he's not. You end up following. That's like the first couple episodes is that shit. What I just said, and then so then what ends up happening is Thor's sacrifices himself in order to save the young men and to save Thorfinn's life. He makes a deal with Askeladd, who even though Askeladd's like he's a a sword for hire, he's a merc, like he's for hire. He's still a very honorable man.
Yeah, he's not completely heartless.
Right, but he honors his word. So he swears to Thor's that he will not kill these people and he will not kill his son.
Yeah.
And Thor's dies, like literally like lets himself be killed to save his son. So
all for naught.
Right in front of his son. So Thor's is slaughtered right, like literally arrowed to death and dies out right in front of like his little boy named Thorfinn.
Yeah.
And then the show becomes something completely different. And then Thorfinn, then what you get is this epic tale where Thorfinn, through a weird twist of fate, he basically, like, his childhood's over at that point. And he vows vengeance on the man who killed his father, which is Askeladd.
Yep.
And this is where it gets so unique, is he joins Askeladd's crew in order to get an opportunity to kill Askeladd.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Like, that's such a neat idea. So, like, what ends up happening is Thorfinn ends up developing this really complicated, weird relationship with Askeladd, where Askeladd becomes a pseudo father figure to Thorfinn, and Thorfinn becomes a pseudo like son to Askeladd, even though Thorfinn is still trying to kill Askeladd. And Askeladd uses Thorfinn, like, it gets to the point where, like, Thorfinn's one of his right-hand mans.
Yeah.
Like, or right-hand men,
The way they played that relationship was really cool.
It's genius.
Like,
it's
basically
genius.
a mentor. It's like, I'm going to fight you to the death. Like, well, no, you can't do that unless you bring me this guy's head.
Right. And the way that it so in case you're wondering, like, why doesn't he just, like, slit Askeladd's, like, throat in his sleep? No. Thorfinn has a code, because they're Vikings, remember. They have a warrior code. That would be a sneaky bullshit way of doing
dishonorable.
it. That's very dishonorable. So you have to earn that man's head. So Thorfinn, through several points in the show, as he gets older and they age, and that's one of the things I love about the show, is they time skip. They constantly time skip. And so Thorfinn is like, he starts off, he's like 6, then all of a sudden he's 14, and then it time skips again. And each time Thorfinn gets more skilled, he challenges Askeladd. So several times in the show, we get a duel. And he loses every one of those times. Because Askeladd is no pushover himself. Like, we should say that. Even though he was nowhere near Thor's level, he's really good.
Yeah. Despite Thorfinn's natural-born strength, it's not enough to take down Askeladd. Yeah,
and so that's the basic premise of the show. Then the show becomes... Season 1 is basically exactly what I just told you. And then by the end of the first season, it becomes a political drama, and Thorfinn ends up getting... Like, Askeladd becomes a main character, like, very quickly. And we like him, but we, like, hate him at the same time. Like, he is one of the most interesting and complicated characters in an anime I think I've ever seen. He's just such a well-written character.
Well, like, to some extent, we wind up with a complicated relationship with him, just like Thorfinn.
Just like Thorfinn, yeah, because we hate him for what he did to Thorfinn's son, our father. But you get so much of his backstory, and at the end of the day, Askeladd wasn't the one that gave the order. Like, he got paid. He's a hired gun.
Yeah,
he got hired by somebody else. So who was the one pulling the strings? And it keeps world building. The first season is a lot of, like, it feels very shonen-y in that Thorfinn gets more and more skilled, and it's very grounded. There's no Well, it's grounded to a point. There's a few characters that stretch that a bit for me, and that's one of my big complaints about the show is certain characters do things that I think I would consider inhuman, specifically Thorkel.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little nonsensical, gets his hand chopped off and like doesn't even react.
Well, not even like the whole hand, just
sorry, his fingers. Yeah. Like it's just, there's a few characters that push and he's able to like throw like trees at people. Yeah. Like there's a few things that are like, well, that's not grounded, but for the most part it's grounded. So it's not like Thorfinn's gaining like magical abilities or anything like that. He's just getting more and more skilled and learning to like fight. And it's trial by fire. He literally, and that's one of the shows like at its most compelling is like you literally see this little boy go from like a little boy to like a cold-hearted, like stone cold fucking mercenary by the end of the show. And he becomes the second strongest in Askeladd's entire mercenary group.
Yeah.
By the end of the first season. And it's really, really well paced. Like for the way they do it. But then the show becomes like the last bit of it becomes a political drama. Like they world build by the end. Like you slowly get little bits, but by the end it's like they introduce like political intrigue and that kind of like royal conflict,
What I liked about Vinland Saga was they made Thorfinn kind of seem heartless after all that time with Askeladd.
Well, he was at that point.
But then they showed that scene where he like infiltrated the village and he was taken in by that woman and her kids. They spoke different languages, so they couldn't quite communicate. And he was still pretty hostile. But then it got to the point he was trying to tell them to run because he knew what was coming. And he was doing his absolute best to try to save their lives. So it was like, there was still that bit of humanity left to him. He was like grateful for everything they did for him, despite knowing, well, they didn't know, sorry, but him knowing that he was just there to massacre the village.
He's there to invade and kill all those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the show is very, that's where it's at its best is you have such a conflicted main character, but by the end of the first season, he's literally a stone cold mercenary killer.
Yeah.
So end of the first season, so spoilers here. So if you don't want anything spoiled, if you like what I just told you, fucking watch Vinland Saga. It's a goddamn masterpiece. Incredible animation, incredible characters, incredible story, well paced, great soundtrack. I'm all positives. I don't really have any complaints other than there's some characters that stretch the realm of like possibility, like reality, right? All right. So skip to the next time stamp if you don't want spoilers, because now I'm going to spoil it to get into season 2. Okay. So season 2, so the end of the first season is Thorfinn. So you've seen all this.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not spoiling it for you. So Thorfinn tries to kill Askeladd and fails yet again. Askeladd gets part of this whole political plot, which I'm not going to get too far into, but Askeladd ends up killing the king of the Vikings, king of the Danes or whatever. He kills him and then is immediately executed, robbing Thorfinn of his like one goal in life. And Thorfinn being disillusioned at this point and just completely, and that's one of the best scenes in the whole, like that finale is incredible.
Yeah, the
that
pure
scene.
devastation in Thorfinn.
Yeah, because then he's completely aimless. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like literally he's lost.
Robbed of sweet, sweet vengeance.
He just completely, it's taken away from him through a series of events. So then he's left directionless, and because of that, he ends up lashing out at the prince, who then has to do his duty, and he sentences Thorfinn to a life of slavery. So Thorfinn goes from being one of the most well-respected mercenaries in the Viking army to a slave by the end of the first season. which that's such an interesting setup. When I was like, where are they going to go? I was super excited for the second season. So second season comes out. I'm not going to spoil everything for you because I know you haven't seen it yet, and I'm assuming you want to see it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I didn't like the second season.
No?
To me, the second season majorly shit the bed. So the second season, without giving away too much, it's centered literally on like a slave plantation. So Thorfinn time skips again. Thorfinn is now a young man. So he's no longer a teenage boy. He's like, I don't know, early 20s. So he looks just like a young man. Like it takes you a second to go like, oh, that's Thorfinn? So I like that. The time skip's great. He is a completely different person when we see him in the second season, which I like. So he is filled with regret and remorse about his youth and how he spent it. He vows to live a life of pacifism. He is no longer violent. He's given up on that lifestyle completely. Similar to his father, he's trying to live a more honest, pure life, but he's stuck as a slave. And he befriends a fellow slave, and the two of them end up befriending the father of this land. It's this huge like plantation. It's this huge like farm settlement, which has all slave workers on it. And then a series. So what I thought was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. The first half I loved. But then they just never leave that fucking farm the whole goddamn second season. And that was my problem with it. Season 1, they travel to different countries. They're going to this battle, that battle. It feels very grand in scope. Season 2, they take this and they turn it into this. And the entirety of the fucking second season is on this goddamn farm.
So basically, it's like the whole first season is pure development and season 2 goes nowhere.
That's my opinion. I hated season 2. The first half of season 2 are great, but then it doesn't go anywhere. And they could have things that should take there's subplots that I'm not going to get into. Subplots that should take like one episode to resolve take like 5 episodes. So it's like 26 episodes on this fucking farm, and it just takes so long until like they finally move past that. And I'm not going to get into specifics and details about like how that happens, but suffice to say, they drag the plot out way too long, and it honestly, it broke my dick. I was just so disappointed in the second season to the point where I don't know if I'm going to keep watching it, to be honest. It was a slog to get through it.
So, did they at least set it up for, season 3?
Oh, absolutely. In the last, 2 episodes. So you get, 24 episodes of, same subplots, same bullshit. The first half is great. You get, it's a slow burn. I like slow-paced things. The problem is it's way too slow-paced. It's we go from, the first season had a great pace. The second season starts off with a slower pace the first season, but then by the end, it's like a crawl. They crawl out of that fucking arc, and I hated it. It didn't go anywhere. They introduced side characters that suck. That's another problem I have, is they introduce new people, and they're not interesting, but we're stuck following them for several episodes, and I'm like, why? What are we doing here? So the second season is just like a fucking wall.
Yeah.
And I get they tried to slow it down and make it its own thing, but it doesn't work. I'll say, to its credit, still has great animation. It's beautiful. Characters are still, the main characters that we follow are still interesting. The story is good. It just takes way too long to resolve.
So it almost suffers from having too good of a first season.
It's a perfect example of the sophomore year curse, where it's the first season the freshman year was so good, the sophomore year was just fucked, and it was doomed to fail. So it's nowhere near the quality of season 1. And
That's a shame.
I've heard people gush about season 2. I am not one of those people. I didn't like it. It's way too fucking slow. Yeah, it just everything comes to a halt. So that's my review of Vinland Saga season 2. That's what I think. Do I recommend it? It's, even though it's not great, I mean, Vinland Saga season 1, I absolutely recommend. It's a fucking masterpiece. Season 2, I didn't like it. I'm also extremely picky. I think if you liked Vinland Saga season 1, watch that first. If you like the first season, odds are you'll find some enjoyment of the second season. Like I recommend you still watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm going to be alone in people that get turned off from it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would watch it cuz
it's like
it's
it pales
still
in comparison.
it's still well made overall, but yeah.
All right.
That's my what do you got next year?
Let's see.
I only got a couple left actually.
I might actually be on my last one.
No, not already.
Yeah, I've
How?
covered the live action One Piece, the Great Cleric, Atelier Ryza.
How the fuck are you so far ahead of me? Did you go twice?
So we both had the live action One Piece.
Yeah.
And
we both had Zom 100, that's why.
Technically I had 6, but like I said 7 because I did the live action for Zom 100.
Right.
Which was kind of just a 2-part really. So yeah, no, this is my last one. So I have Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2.
Take it away, because I don't know a fucking thing about a fucking thing.
So
go ahead. I have questions, because I'm genuinely curious, but go ahead.
So basically, Season 1, we followed Itadori. He just so happens to, like, one day stumble upon this cursed object, and it leads him to this life of sorcery. He finds one of his friends being attacked, and there's this Jujutsu sorcerer trying to fight the monster. He tries to fight this, I shouldn't say monster, they're curses. But he sees this guy fighting the curse, he tries to help, and it's revealed that you can't hurt a curse without cursed energy, which is their equivalent of ki. So, in an effort to gain this cursed energy, he has this cursed object, which is the finger of this like legendary curse. It's Sukuna.
Yeah, and he ends up eating it.
He eats the finger and happens to be the one person in existence that can withstand becoming the vessel. But anyway, skipping ahead to season 2, because we just followed his development, like gaining his like sorcery and whatnot.
That's the basic premise. It's a shonen show with like it's very demon-esque. Like it's similar. It's very similar to Demon Slayer, but it's got its own flavor.
Yeah,
definitely got it, because it's like a modern Demon Slayer with a different art style and different quirks and mechanics to it. But shonen, but horror shonen, which is becoming a thing now, which I like. It's great. You know, it's like kind of like Chainsaw Man is also horror.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very similar to Chainsaw Man, minus the comedy.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
because like the curses are almost the equivalent of like the devils.
The devils, yeah.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
And then there are like there are good sorcerers and bad sorcerers, which are referred to as curse users, which is dark magic essentially. But so season 2, we start out with the story of Gojo and Geto.
Is it a prequel?
Yes, but no.
Okay, because I saw so that was my biggest question, was like I saw the imagery of like Gojo and he doesn't have the band around his eyes.
Yeah.
So, which I thought was like a deliberate thing. So I was like, oh, maybe this takes place before he had that.
So they did season 1.
Yeah.
And then they released Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which is a prequel.
Oh, okay.
And ultimately it ends with Gojo killing his like best friend. Because his friend turned to, I guess you could say, a life of crime. He becomes a curse user instead of a sorcerer.
Okay.
So they put him down. So season 2, it actually starts with like them as students. And we find out where along Gojo's journey he becomes so badass, because he hasn't quite refined his abilities yet. But I mean, to some extent, he was just kind of born a natural badass. He was the inheritor of an ability that hadn't been in the world for generations, and they just compiled into this unstoppable badass, basically. So we follow him and his friend Geto, and I don't remember the other girl's name, but they do have a friend that tags along with them. And it's them as students, and we actually get a glimpse of how Geto joined the bad side. And that's a couple episodes or so, and then we get into actual like season 2, where we once again follow Itadori, and it leads up to the Shibuya incident, which I won't go into too much detail about because the season is still ongoing. Like right now, we've got 12 episodes.
So half of the new season is prequel, and half of the new season's current.
Not even half. It's
it's like a
3
part
episodes
of,
or so.
Okay, yeah. So it's a very
And then the
specific
rest
part.
is like current, but it was necessary for the story because there are some like bigger reveals.
Right.
I mean, I guess like everybody knows that Gato is the bad guy in this season, which makes no sense.
I
because
didn't
he
know
died.
that. I didn't know that.
Well, because you haven't watched season 1.
Right. Exactly. Well, I tried, but now I know that.
But yeah, so he's the bad guy somehow, despite being killed.
Okay.
And the whole idea, like when a sorcerer dies, they'll come back as a curse unless they were killed using like cursed energy. So you have to kill them like you would a curse, or they will come back as one. And, you would assume that Gojo, finishing off his best friend would have done that. But somehow, through some twist of fate, he is still alive. He is still the bad guy.
Did you finish it now? Is season 2 done? Like,
It's still ongoing.
oh, okay. So it's still going.
So
okay.
I'm assuming they'll do another like 25 episode season or something. We're
Okay.
on like episode 12. But so yeah, we cut to the Shibuya incident, which we do actually get like snippets of in season 1 when we see the curses kind of congregate and reveal that on Halloween in Shibuya, they're going to seal Satoru Gojo. So essentially, that's the whole Shibuya incident. They're just trying to seal Gojo. All the sorcerers are there fighting these curses, and they're like massacring normal humans.
So is Yuji considered a sorcerer?
Yes.
Okay.
So as soon as he unlocked his like cursed energy,
Yeah.
he became a sorcerer.
That's like that black flame or whatever.
Yeah, essentially. So everybody is fighting everyone. It's literally a war arc.
Yeah. Okay.
But the whole premise is they're trying to seal Gojo, and everyone, like all the sorcerers rather, are trying to save him. But at the same time, it's kind of like, do we need to save Gojo because he's kind of our strongest man?
Right.
But I mean, like you got to do what you got to do.
It's equivalent of like all the Z fighters trying to save like Goku or some shit.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like what is Krillin going to do?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, he can do solar flare. He can do destructo disc. He's got a few specific abilities.
Yeah, so
Don't be shitting on my boy Krillin.
I got to hand it to Krillin. In Super, he did get quite a power up. He almost took out Goku, forced him to go blue. So
That's actually what I was gonna refer to.
yeah.
Sorry, continue. You just reminded me of something. There's something I want to talk to you about.
All right.
I saw a trailer for a new anime that's got me hyped.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically, the curses have taken over Shibuya. There are like, they put up veils, which essentially are kind of like force fields, either designed to keep someone in or keep people out.
Okay.
And in this case, it's designed to keep people inside, but it's like tri-leveled. So there's like, the outer level is designed to keep people in, specifically like normal humans. Anyone with cursed energy can come and go as they please.
Right.
And then the second layer is like to keep sorcerers out, but let Gojo in. And then deeper in is set up to keep Gojo in.
Okay.
So it's like 3 tiers. And honestly, they kind of paint Gojo as a villain. Not because he's evil, but because he's so fucking painfully badass fighting these curses.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, he has to be the bad guy, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's really all there is to it so far. I can't really say too much because, like, spoilers.
Of course. What
But-
did you like? Are you liking it? Would you recommend it?
It's fucking
Is the
amazing.
animation good?
The animation is incredible.
Yep.
The fights are even better. It's like every fight comes off as like an OP character fighting another OP character.
Which that's fun.
So it's like they introduce one guy and it's like, oh my God, he's impossible to beat. How are they going to do that? And then another good guy shows up and fucks that guy up like it's nothing.
This reminds me, this sounds so much like that have you watched all of Bleach?
So I've read all of Bleach, but I haven't started the Thousand Year Blood War.
Okay, so do you know the fake town arc where all of like the captains from Soul Society fight all of the equivalent evil captains from Hueno Muanco?
Oh, Waco Mundo?
Yeah, Waco Mundo. Do you know what I'm talking about? That arc? The fake town arc? That's what it sounds like you're describing, where it's just chaos, where it's like all the most top guys fight an equivalent top guy on each side. Is that basically what this is?
I mean, more or less, yeah.
All right. Hey, that's when Bleach was like, for a bit, that's when it was at its most fun, when it was just like throwing guys with cool abilities at each other.
Well, I mean, that's the coolest part of anime, right?
I mean, you're describing most like shonen type, battle anime.
Yeah.
That's what it is cool guys with cool abilities throwing them at each other, which I'm not shitting on that can be really fun.
Oh, the fights,
especially when they get creative.
Definitely.
I always liked guys with like weird abilities, but they use them really well.
Yeah. Well,
I
mean,
like a guy that can control, I don't know, something so specific, but he's up against somebody that can stop time and he has to somehow overcome that. Like that to me is the most fun.
It's funny you should mention stopping time because that's almost Gojo's ability, right?
Almost like I've seen a lot of this type of anime or something.
So like it's not quite his ability. His ability is infinity.
Okay.
So like if we were to put our hands up here, he could make an infinite distance between those two.
Okay.
So if you were to put your hand up and try to touch his, they would never meet. The distance between them, although it seems like you're getting closer, is infinitely larger than you could ever imagine.
Right, so you're never gonna, okay.
But he does unleash his domain, which we see briefly in Season 1, and it sort of floods you with an infinite amount of information, which to a normal human would literally melt your brain.
Right.
But in a sense, in that domain, time is standing still.
And explain to people who don't know what domains are. Domains are
like an ultimate move. It's kind of like putting up your own shell for you and your opponent.
You put a barrier around you and your opponent.
And they can't escape unless, say, they can unleash their own domain. But in order to do that, theirs has to be stronger than yours.
Okay. So they can either overcome your domain or kill you.
Or die.
Yeah, okay.
Like, they can't kill you in your domain. You're basically indestructible.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
it's like a Bankai?
Kind of.
That you can't escape from?
Except, yeah, basically. It's like, to give you an example, there's one character who can literally reshape your soul.
Okay.
And in his domain, like, in order to use his ability, he has to touch you. And when you go into his domain, there's a giant hand, and you're in the palm of it. So it doesn't really matter what you do. He could kill you in an instant.
Okay.
So it's literally an end-all.
Right.
So unless you can put up your own, you're toast.
So that's how they fight? They fight with like, because in I'm actually very curious about this, because in Bleach they have like the Bankais and the Shikais, and it's like my ability to control sand versus your ability to control shadows or shit like that. But in this, how the fuck do they fight each other?
So they have their like cursed abilities, right? So like there's a guy who can clap his hands and swap two people. But there's also
is that Toto?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know.
Do you know why I know that? Why I know that?
Because he's the coolest.
So I never really got into Jujutsu, watched a couple episodes. Do you know why I know that? Because the Funko Pop of him emphasizes him clapping. So I was like, oh, I guess that's an ability of his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they fight through their abilities, or they like basically enhance their fists with cursed energy. And the domain is kind of like a last resort. Like, you don't want to go to it, because if your opponent just happens to be stronger than you, it was all for naught.
So once you're in a domain, you're dead? That's it? Like, there's no getting out of it?
Yeah, like, assuming your opponent's stronger than you, you're done for. Like,
you're fucked.
There's literally no escape.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So the whole idea...
But, like, is it hard to get your opponent trapped in your domain?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's like anytime they do it, it's just
So why don't
like,
they just immediately go into the domains? Why don't they just
because if your opponent's stronger than you, then it doesn't matter.
So it's basically the fear of like,
If they can overpower you, then it was.
Is there ever a time when like they cancel each other out, where they're kind of like equally matched?
I mean, I believe it's referenced, but we haven't actually seen it.
Okay, so as soon as somebody gets the domain, it's done. Like that's the end of the fight.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm quite glad that they tend not to opt for that.
Yeah, because it's very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like that to me seems very like, oh, okay, well I guess this is over.
They always do play it as a last resort.
Yeah.
Like literally, like they'll do whatever they can to beat you before using it.
I don't know. It doesn't sound as cool as Bankai.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not, right?
Well,
because there's no real means of fighting it.
Yeah, and also domain doesn't sound as cool as Bankai. It sounds cool.
And then your sword turns into a flower.
Right? Yeah. Your sword turns into like an ice dragon, and like like Bankai is just such a cool sounding like word.
Yeah.
Whereas domain is just kind of like, did you register your domain? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah.
All right.
And nothing really else I can say about it without spoiling it, but 100% recommend it.
Spoil it. Give away all the spoilers.
I will spoil everything.
Yep. Yuji's the main bad guy. Gojo's actually his dad.
I mean, like,
but from a different time period.
Technically, he is kind of the bad guy, though, right?
Sure.
He's becoming the world's deadliest curse. So, in a sense,
yeah, I get what you mean. You're coming from that. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's all I have for Jujutsu.
Okay. I got a couple left. My next one. I'm shocked you didn't watch this. Helck? You don't even know what the fuck it is?
No.
Oh my god. So you didn't even see this like on any of the like this?
I don't think
this
so.
Fucking anime? Hold on a sec. The one with the guy that just looks like Mr. Muscle Man. This fucking one.
I might have seen this, but like I've heard nothing.
Okay. Picture, so Mashal?
Yep.
Okay. So Mashal, which we talked about on our first episode, is the show about an overpowered strong guy in a world with magic. Helck is an overpowered strong guy in a world of demons.
Okay.
It's like the same fucking show. It's the same tone, everything. I fucking hated it.
So what's it, Demon Slayer with muscles instead of swords?
It's like, okay, so the basic premise, I only got to like episode 3 and I was like, I know what this is. I'm not into this. It's just like Mashal. I watched the first couple and I was just like, I liked Mashal better. I thought it was funnier, but it's so fucking similar. It's crazy. So Helck is like, there's a human world and a demon world. And in the demon world, the demon king has died. And so now they're holding this tournament for all the strongest fuckers in the demon world to go at each other for this one tournament to see who's going to be the new king. But for the first time ever, a human, Helck, that fucking guy, has entered the tournament, which has never happened before. And they're like, why would a human want to enter the demon tournament? Like, because the demon world and the human world are at war. So they're like, why the fuck would this human want to be like, why is he trying to be the demon king? He must have some nefarious, but no, he outwardly says, he's like, let us all destroy the humans. I'm with you, my demon brothers. So even though he's human, he wants to help the demons take out the human world. Which is like, huh? So one of the head, I don't know, demon people in the demonic government doesn't believe Helck and thinks that what he's trying to do is fuck up their whole government structure somehow. So they keep trying to get him eliminated from this tournament, but they first, it's like just fighting, and Helck keeps fucking up all of his opponents. But then they change the rules, and they're like, all right, now it's a cook-off for this round. So they all have to cook, and similar to Mashal, it's like Helck keeps using his raw strength in creative ways to overcome problems.
Okay.
So like as an example, like tell me if this doesn't sound like right out of Mashal. So they set up a race, and it's a race on these creatures that are like these like big cats, like these battle cat fucking things looking like something out of He-Man. And it's this big race, and in order to fuck with Helck, they give him like an infant cat thing. So everyone else gets like these big creatures, but he gets like this little cat.
Does he fucking bully it into becoming an adult or something?
No, he encourages it to do its best, and because it's so small, he can't even ride it. He just runs over top. You know how like in Mashal throws the broom and then just runs and jumps on it, so it looks like he's flying on it. It's the same shit where like the cat is running as fast as it can, and Helck is just running over top of it. So he's running with it, but then it gets to the point where the cat gets tired, so he just picks up the cat and just runs. So he basically just run. Does this not sound like Mashal?
Yeah.
It's literally Mashal.
I thought it was going more in the direction of the Mandragora or whatever the hell it was in the kitchen in Mashal, where he's supposed to cast a spell to stop it from crying or something, and he just yells at the.
He just yells at it. Yeah, no. He doesn't use his strength in that way, but this is the show. So it's Mashal set in a demon world. Is there way more to it? I'm sure there is. Was there way more in Mashal? I'm sure there was. It wasn't for me. It's overly goofy. I thought the animation sucked. I thought it was very like, it honestly looked like something out of like the 90s, but not the good 90s animation.
Yeah.
Like the shitty anime that you would pick up when you were looking for new shit to watch and you're browsing the anime section, you're like, oh, what is this? I'll try this. And you immediately, as soon as you threw it on, you're like, this isn't the good A tier shit. This looks cheaper. And that's how I feel about Helck. It looked like cheap animation. It looked very like just cheaper quality, not gorgeous.
Yeah.
Animated. Yeah.
See, when you said Demon Tournament, I was hoping for something a little more like Yu Yu Hakusho.
No. Yu Yu Hakusho is like A tier.
Yeah.
This is like C tier. I don't know how people feel about Helck. I don't know if it was popular or what, but it's as soon as you put it on, you'll be like, oh, Justin would hate this. It's like chibi, tongue-in-cheek, we're nutty. Like, it's very like goofy, comedic, like, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I hate that kind of tone, and I hated the animation style, and I didn't think it was super clever, and I didn't get far. I got to like the third episode where he was still in like the trials of, like, I didn't get to like the revelation of like, why does Helck hate humans? So the other thing is like, Helck is like you can just tell by looking at this, like, he's an honorable man. He's very stoic. He's very like, he's a good guy. He's not a bad guy, but it's like, how could somebody he's very good natured.
Yeah.
So he never like looks down on his demon opponents. In fact, he befriends them, and he ends up winning over the crowds. So it's literally just like this one government official that's trying to sabotage Helck, but like he has won over the demon community, and he wins over his like opponents. They come to respect him because he's like actually a good guy. So I never got to like, I'm sure his tragic backstory of why he hates the human race. Like, I'm sure there's some fucking twist or something that explains it all, but I didn't get that far, and I don't care to. I don't recommend Helck. But if you like Mashal, you will probably love Helck.
Yeah, I might actually enjoy it.
Yeah, that's why I was shocked that this wasn't on your list. I thought for sure you were going to bring this up.
Yeah.
So, watch Helck if you like Mashal. I'm gonna do my last couple kind of rapid fire here because I don't have a ton to say. I watched the Rurouni Kenshin remake. Do you know what Rurouni Kenshin is?
I do. You mentioned it during the live action episode.
Yes.
And I've got it in my queue. I haven't watched it yet.
Which, the anime or the live action
Both.
movies? Okay, so Rurouni Kenshin, it is a huge franchise. It has video games. It has live action adaptations. It has multiple animes. There was a long anime series from like the 90s / early 2000s, I believe, and like there was an old one that was like 95 episodes. I think that one had like OVAs that I don't know if it rebooted or what, but there was a shitload of hype going into this. I tried to watch Rurouni Kenshin back in like early 2000s, and I didn't like it. It didn't click with me. Basic story is it follows Kenshin, who is a Rurouni, which is a made-up word in their universe, which basically means like a Ronin.
Yeah.
So it's like a traveling, aimless, because like a Ronin is like a samurai without a master, essentially. So it's like a traveling swordsman that's like aimless kind of idea, like a gun for hire in a sense. So in this world, a Rurouni is more like a directionless samurai or like swordsman, and it starts off following Kenshin, who is very feminine looking and very innocent and seemingly good natured, and they run into this young woman who they befriend, and I don't know how much to get into without like I guess I'll just get into some spoilery shit. I thought about like I'm like how much should I like tell you about this show, but I didn't get super far. It didn't hook me back then, and it didn't hook me now. I really wanted to watch the remake because I thought I'm like everybody loves Rurouni Kenshin but me. I'm like I tried to watch it and I never thought it was that interesting. I thought the old animes kind of sucked. Like I tried watching even the movies and I was like these are not like they're bland. Like there's nothing to them. I liked the live action better than I liked the animes.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I thought they were cooler. Why? Because you got to see stuntmen doing sword fights, and it was like good sword fights. But I tried watching the new one, and like the basic plot is like Kenshin has this tragic backstory where he was some sort of mercenary, and he had this reputation of being like the ultimate killer. He was like the ultimate assassin. He has like some name like Bowtie the killer or some shit like that. And he was like the baddest of the bad in the assassins, and he had this crazy reputation, and for whatever reason he's given up that life, similar to Thorfinn. He's very similar to Thorfinn in Vinland, and he's given up that life. He's reformed, and he now lives a life of peace, and he actually carries around a practice sword where it's like I can't remember what's done. There's something, it's like a reverse blade.
Yeah,
so it's like the what would normally be the cutting part of the blade is on the inside, so it's meant for practicing is the idea. I don't know if this is actually a thing, but it's a reverse practice blade. So he has a blade that can't slash people. So he's similar to Thor's in that like he wins fights, but he doesn't like kill people anymore.
Yeah.
He's reformed and he doesn't want to live like that anymore. So he befriends this young woman through a series of events. She runs a dojo, and then I guess what ends up happening in the series is more characters flock to this dojo, and then like the dojo becomes like kind of a ragtag like family unit,
And do they all like learn his style of using a sword?
No, I just think it's like, again, I had to read up on this because I didn't get anywhere near any of this shit. I only got to like the second episode and I was like, yeah, this isn't hooking me. I don't find the main character interesting. I don't find the girl interesting. The plot doesn't interest me. It's set in feudal Japan. Obviously, you can tell from what I'm saying. I'm saying swordsman and shit. And it's like, to me, there was no hook. Like nothing hooked me. I didn't think the animation was incredible. I thought it was just okay. It was serviceable. I didn't think it was like gorgeous or like Zom 100 looks way nicer than this, without a doubt.
Oh, I'd believe it.
Even the next anime I'm about to say was nicer looking than this. It's just to me is very basic. Like I had the exact same reaction I did to when I tried to watch the old anime to this. I don't think there's anything particularly engaging or like, oh, that's what separates Rurouni Kenshin. That's what makes Rurouni Kenshin special. I think like if you want a story, like there's a million stories about like a character reforming from like their old killer lifestyle,
I mean, Hell's Paradise.
Right. Like, fuck Hell's Paradise.
I had to. I knew it'd get a reaction.
Yeah, fuck Hell's Paradise. Gabby Maru can kiss my ass. Was that his name?
Yeah.
I can't believe I remember that.
Hollow.
Yeah, it's so similar to that, but I mean, it's way lamer than Hell's Paradise in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like Trigun is kind of like that in a sense. I mean, Vash wasn't really a killer, but he has this tragic back. Have you ever watched Trigun?
No, it made my list recently. I found it on Crunchyroll, and
Okay.
I've been watching a boatload of more anime since we've started this.
Well,
so.
that's good. Yeah, it's good. Me as well. Oh, like I as well. Because of this podcast, like shit like Helck, I would have just looked at it and gone,
Nope.
yeah, nope, not gonna do this. So like it's forcing me to watch more animes. It's kind of confirming my own tastes, and that's fine. It's really confirming what I like and what I don't like. You know, Helck, that type of goofy comedy anime, not my style. You got to have a little bit more for me to get interested in you. But sometimes the odd ones surprise me. Like Zom 100 could have been too goofy for me, but I liked it. Dead Mount Deathplay, I could have found plain as shit, but for some reason, I don't know why, it interested me.
Yeah,
I liked it.
It feels different.
Yeah, it's got a different vibe to it. It is tongue-in-cheek, but it doesn't overdo it. I liked it. I don't know. It's cool. It's got cool art style to it, you know? Rurouni Kenshin, it's just so basic that I'm like, bleh, there's nothing here for me. It just feels boring. So, didn't like it. Yeah, didn't like it.
That's fair.
And yeah, and you were asking about like, do they go to the dojo to like learn his style? No, I think it's just, it acts as like a central place for all these characters to come to meet each other. And I know they eventually like go outside the dojo and there's other conflicts and arcs and all that shit, because there's a lot to this manga. It's the long running manga series. I think the manga's still going, actually.
Oh shit.
Like I think it's like one of those like never ended manga. It started like the 90s, still going kind of things, but not for me. Yeah, didn't dig it. Cannot abide. Does that sound like something that would interest you? I really sold it.
Maybe, honestly. I mean, I'm into the whole like idea of like samurai and like Ronin type shit.
I mean, I'm not going to recommend it. That being said, everyone's going to disagree with me because it's beloved. Everybody likes Rurouni Kenshin. So give it a shot and see what you think. You know, maybe you'll get something more out of it than I did. Okay, my last one. Last one I've got here. Call of the Night.
That one sounds very familiar.
Yeah, like I'll bring
that
up an
one
image
might
here.
have made my potential watch list.
I don't fault you if you did not watch this. This speaks to my, like, I have a weird thing for like romance type media, and this speaks to that. I don't blame people for not giving this. I'm trying to find an image that like is a good encapsulation. That's a good encapsulation of like the style of the show right there. I don't blame anyone for looking at this and going, no, because the character models. I'll get into the basic plot. Basic plot. It follows a high school boy. I don't remember how old he is. I think he's like 17. He's like just before the drinking age. He's not quite drinking age yet, but he's like near the end of high school. That's, standard, typical. And his name is Ko. And Ko he's relatively popular in school, but he's always been abnormally socially awkward. Like never followed the crowd. Always kind of did his own thing, very reclusive, very, what's the word for people that are inside their own head all the time?
I can't think of it, but I can tell you right now, I relate to this anime.
Yeah. What's that word for people like you? What's the word?
Losers?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. No, introverts.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Introverts, yeah. See, if you weren't such an introvert, you would have got that.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Introvert. He's always been like an introvert, so he's always just kind of in his own head, and he's relatively popular in school, but he just it all feels kind of fake and arbitrary to him. Like it feels very like he has these friends, he's relatively popular, but it all feels like doesn't feel satisfying. He doesn't feel satisfied in life. And even though he's chatting with these people and he's friends with these people, he kind of feels nothing towards a lot of the people he's surrounded himself with. Like, the image he's projecting to the world is not who he really is inside, and it's not really how he thinks. Ko is a complicated character, and I like that about Ko. It's kind of, he represents the type of, I think he represents a side that a lot of people have, where it's like what we project is not necessarily what's going on in our heads, you know? And what ends up happening is at the beginning of the series, he finally gives into that other side, and he's kind of had enough of playing the good boy and acting normal. He kind of wants to pursue the other side of himself, which is the introverted, spending time alone. And what ends up happening is he develops insomnia, and he starts going out at night, hence Call of the Night. That's the name of the show and the manga. And he ends up embracing the nightlife of, he lives in, I don't know if it's Tokyo or whatever, but it's some Japanese city. And he learns to embrace nightlife culture. And he ends up he starts skipping school. And he doesn't really have any particular goal. It's not like he goes out and gets drunk. It's not like he goes out and he's cruising for chicks. He kind of just likes the tranquility of a world where you don't have to interact with other people. It's very convenient for him that he has to skip all of the social interactions that we normally would have to do on a daily basis, especially as a student, right?
Yeah.
And he ends up, through a turn of events, meeting a vampire. Yes, this is a vampire story.
Honestly, that one kind of got me off guard.
Yeah, if I didn't lose you with, oh, it's a romance, it's a romantic vampire story. Feel free to end the video right now because we don't have much else to talk about here, folks. It's a vampire romance story.
So it's Twilight.
Yes, just way less lame than that. So he ends up meeting this vampire named Nizuna, if I remember correctly. I think it's Nizuna. I got it right. Yes, Nizuna. So Nizuna is it's the pink-haired girl there. This one right here. So
right,
that's the vampire he meets. That's Ko. That's the main guy right there. He ends up meeting her, and Ko has no idea that she's a vampire. He doesn't know that vampires exist. So vampires exist in this world, but they're secret from like human society. So humans are not aware of the vampire society, and the vampire society, specifically like keeps themselves hidden to the public. Like they don't want to be known. So they're specifically staying out of public eye, and like to the point where they will kill humans that learn about their existence, and they feed on humans. They need to feed on humans relatively regularly, but they don't have to kill humans when they do it, and they can last you could last years and not feed. You're stronger after you feed. But just to get into some of the fucking lore here, just so you kind of know what the world is that we're in. But you don't have to, you could take a couple of years and not feed and you'd be okay as a vampire. You still have some of your abilities. They have the generic vampire abilities that you'd think of. They can fly, they have superhuman strength, speed, senses, all that shit. And he meets Nizuna, realizes she's a vampire, and ends up befriending her because Nizuna embraces nightlife because she's a vampire, and vampires will die from sunlight. Although in this world, it's weird. They can take a little bit of sunlight, but eventually it will burn you. It will kill you. They can be out. It doesn't instantly kill you, so they can be out in the sun for brief periods, but then it is slowly burning them in a sense, right? So there's this whole vampire society that exists really only at night, and Ko through Nizuna ends up stumbling into this world, this nightlife world of the vampires, and he basically falls for their lifestyle. Like he loves this idea of like the nighttime is like there's fun to be had at nighttime, but it's its own brand of fun, and it feels more personal and special because there's so much less people around, you know? You're in your own little world, I guess. And the two of them slowly bond over the course of the series. And this is where the show gets a little Twilighty, and I'll give you that criticism because this is like very sappy. But so when you bite a human as a vampire, they don't just turn into a vampire. It doesn't use that lore. In order for you to become a vampire, you must be in love with the vampire that bites you.
I mean, that's original.
It's different. It's different. Yeah, it is different. I don't know. I don't think it's that stupid, but it is very sappy. Yeah, 100%. So Ko falls in, like, he doesn't fall in love with Nizuna, but falls in love with the world of vampires and then wants to become a vampire. So then he learns through Nizuna that he has to be in love with her in order for her to turn him. So then he makes it his mission to fall in love with Nizuna. And the two end up slowly, we get to see their blossoming relationship and romance over the course of the series. It's not super sappy. It is pretty comedic. Like if you're expecting it to be very sappy and like overly dramatic and romancy, it's not. It's very tongue-in-cheek and humorous. Nizuna's character kind of fucking rules. She's actually an outcast from the vampires because most vampires have shitloads of what they call offspring. So that's humans that they've turned into vampires, meaning most vampires are charming and they're like hot and attractive, and humans are naturally attracted to them. And on top of that, they can also hypnotize you. So they can kind of like manipulate you, and it's very easy for vampires to make people fall for them. Nizuna, on the other hand, doesn't act like a normal vampire, and she's like a wild free spirit that kind of just does her own thing and basically doesn't give a fuck about like making offspring or any of that bullshit. She kind of just wants to do her own thing and like have fun and play video games. Like she doesn't act like any of the other vampires at all. So she's a pariah in a sense from their community. She's like she's the oddball, you know?
It sounds fascinating. Now, as much as I criticized it for like the Twilight, you know, sorry I haven't said much. I'm just genuinely fascinated by this, and I think I'm putting it on my list.
It's pretty solid.
I mean, the art style, I really like the colors.
Okay, so let's get into that. So I'm gonna gush about this. Other than Zom 100, this was the second most beautiful. Like this was the second nicest looking anime I watched during the summer. It is gorgeous. The character models take a bit to get used to. They're a very specific design, but I will say this: I actually read the manga now because of this, because I liked the show. It is actually faithful to how they are in the manga. Characters they're just a unique art style. Either you're gonna dig it or you're not, but that's not a fault of the animation. That's intentional. But the animation is gorgeous. Like, it's at nighttime, but they play with colors so well in it. Like the way they light the city, everything is doused in like pink and blue hues, and the sky, even though it's like nighttime, they give it this neat, gorgeous color palette. It's a very beautiful show, visually. The soundtrack sucks, unfortunately. They reuse the same fucking insert songs over and over and over again. That fucking sucks.
Well, I mean, the story sounds good. The art style looks awesome. They've got to fuck up somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's not a top tier show. I like it, but I also like like a lot of romance sappy shit like this, this is one of my like, thing. It's just one of those things I tend to gravitate towards. Similar to you, like isekais.
Yeah.
I tend to like a lot of this shit. It's not like a high tier. Like I highly recommend it. It's not going to be for everybody for sure. If you don't like romancy shit, you don't like vampire shit, don't even fucking give us a chance. You're not going to dig it. But it's not on my criteria. It's not like an 8 out of 10. It's not a 9 out of 10. It's more like a 7 out of 10 show. It's got a lot going for it, but it's not perfect. It's it is what it is. It's not amazing. It's not even as good as maybe even Vinland Saga season 2, honestly, if you're going to look at it critically, but it's really good. It is solid, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, way more than I thought it was going to. I didn't know what to expect. It's got its own feel to it. It's very the way like it's very like a buddy comedy almost. Like Ko and Nazuna, they're both like freaks in their own sense. Like Nazuna, she doesn't know how humans should act, and she doesn't really know how vampires should act. So she acts inappropriate in basically every situation. And Ko is like trying to teach her how to act in normal society. But Ko also is like emotionally inept. So he also struggles with like how he should and shouldn't act. What I like about Ko is he reminds me of, what was that other anime we were just talking about? He reminds me of Akira in that he didn't like his life and now he's trying to be a different version of himself. So he becomes way more confident as the show progresses. Yeah. Like at the beginning when she reveals like, okay, in order for me to turn you into a vampire, you need to be in love with me. That is like a nigh impossible task for someone like Ko, because Ko doesn't even understand what that means. He's like, I don't know what love is. I've never experienced this emotion. Like, how do you fall in love with somebody? Like, how does that work? Like, because he's so introverted, he's socially kind of inept, but you see him slowly get better and better at that, and he becomes more and more confident, and he doesn't just immediately like go, well, this isn't gonna happen. He's like, no, I'm gonna fucking do this, and that's fun to watch. Yeah, the characters are good. It's well animated. It's good. It hooked me. I liked it. Yeah. It's not a traditional kind of love story. It never gets super sappy. Like, they don't even fucking do anything in like the first season. But I mean, they pace it out, right? Like, if you like those type of shows where they pace out the romance, this is for you. Because like I read Now Ahead in the manga, and like it takes a long fucking time for anything to get going. But they develop it. It's like more realistic, And
you can't change overnight.
No, and I don't like shit where people instantly fall in love with other people. Yeah. Like that shit, that's not realistic, That's not paced out. Instead, these two and the show is just fun. That's the other thing, is like, if you're thinking the show is just them romancing each other, that's not the show. The show is them becoming friends and then falling in love with the other person who just is also their friend, which, by the way, is the best kind of love. You know what I mean? Like, when you're actually like friends with the other person, when you actually have that fucking foundation, That's what this show is. And every episode is fun in that they just go on like little adventures that are something simple, One of them will get an idea that they want to do something or try something, and they go for it. And like one time they go to a maid cafe, and that's an episode. I'm trying to think of other like little random plots that come up, but there's other little random plots that come up, and they're always like pretty good. There's a lot of side characters that get introduced later on too. I have mixed feelings about the side characters. Yeah. Some are cool. Some of the other vampires suck. Some of them are interesting. Some of Ko's friends suck. Some of them are interesting. But I think the two main characters are cool. Yeah.
See, I keep looking at the picture here, and like when I look at him, he doesn't really look like the typical main character. Like he doesn't really stand out.
He reminds me of. There's a good shot of him right there. He reminds me of. You're familiar with Sword Art Online?
Yes.
He's like Kirito if he wasn't badass.
Yeah.
Like if you kept all of the introverted shit about Kirito and like the social like, awkwardness and removed all the badass shit, you'd have Ko.
See, he almost looks like the side character in any other anime.
Yeah, that's a very accurate description. Yeah, that's what he is. Yep. But that's why I like it. I think that's why it's interesting. Like, Nazuna is the confident one out of the two. She is the outgoing, confident one. She's just awkward as fuck because she just doesn't know how to read situations and doesn't care about norms.
And they're both kind of outcasts.
They're outcasts in their own way, though, Nazuna is like, she almost overcompensates in situations. Ko is like, doesn't understand like social interactions and finds it like taxing and difficult. And but it's good. It's good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's going on my list.
Solid. We've been filming for over 3 hours. Jesus Christ, where did the time go? I'm just gonna. Why don't you recap your list just real quick? What you'd recommend, what you wouldn't recommend.
All right, so we have Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, the live action or the anime. Both are solid. I mean, the anime is preferred.
I also recommend that anime. It is great. For the love of God, make some more fucking episodes for me to watch.
Reborn is a vending machine. I Now Wander the Dungeon. Great if you're looking for something goofy, something to throw away some time. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Incredible. Give it a watch.
But I didn't ask you. Better than Season 1?
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, that's okay. Those are big words, folks. Big words.
Atelier Ryza. If you're a fan of the game, it's worth it. If not, you might actually appreciate it a little more because, you haven't seen it already. The Great Cleric. Again, totally recommend. My favorite. It just sort of feels different than, most isekai I've watched. And the live action One Piece. Coming from a One Piece fan, I recommend it. But again, good, not great.
I also recommend it, but don't expect something amazing. It's just kind of okay. If you need some more, if you're just looking for shit to watch for a little bit and you're like waiting for the next season of something else that you love to watch, throw it in there. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah.
I kind of watched it at a good time where it was like I didn't really have anything that was like super exciting for me to get into, so I'm like, it was good timing. I had more patience because there wasn't anything else really for me to watch anyways. Yeah, that's when you slot it in. And that's your list.
That is.
And my list to recap. All right, Zom 100, highly recommend. My Happy Marriage, fuck off. Vinland Saga Season 2, do recommend it with an asterisk. Nowhere near as good as Season 1. Highly, highly recommend Season 1. Season 1 is a fucking masterpiece.
Season 1's incredible.
Season 1 everyone's going to be talking about for years. I don't know. Will I keep watching it? I definitely will watch a Season 3 if it comes out, and hopefully it redeems it because I don't think one bad season can tank an entire show, but it tripped. The show tripped, in my opinion, and I'm disappointed, very disappointed. Helck, not for me at all, but I can see why some people would dig it. You like that Mashal kind of nonsensical, tongue-in-cheek shit, you're probably going to dig it. Rurouni Kenshin, I don't get it. It bored the fuck out of me, but, you're not me, so other people might get more out of it than I did. Call the Night, really enjoyed it. Surprised me how much I enjoyed it. I thought I was going to think it was fucking stupid. I thought I was going to hate it. It wasn't the show I thought it was. Has a different feel than you might be expecting it to be. And just beautifully animated. And yeah, that's it. That's what I got. Oh, holy fuck. That was a lot. Yeah. We got to stop watching so much shit.
No, I think we could watch a bit more.
No, yeah. Jesus Christ. I hope the tens of people that are watching this, you appreciate the amount of shit that we watched. You know what shocks me? We don't have a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
Like, we both agreed to watch the live action One Piece. And Zom was a coincidence, but nothing else overlapped. Like, I can't believe you didn't watch Helck. I'm like, John must have watched this fucking show.
Funny enough, I had probably 17 titles
that
on
you cut?
My list.
Yeah.
And
this isn't going to be a 15-hour podcast.
Yeah. So I watched the 6 of those. And of the ones that were on my list I didn't watch, there was still no overlap.
Crazy. I mean, that's a good thing, though. It honestly is, because you and I have very different tastes, and that means that when we were making our lists, we're both going to have very different titles we're slotting in there. You know, like something like Call of the Night goes on my radar. I love vampire shit. I don't care how much of a pussy that makes me sound. Vampires are just inherently fucking cool. I'm Turn me into a fucking vampire. Fuck being human.
Well, I mean, like, Castlevania was pretty cool.
Just vampires are fucking awesome. So, but maybe that wouldn't have been on your radar. And obviously wasn't, because you didn't have it on your list.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there now.
So that is a good thing, that we're not just bringing the same shit to the table.
Yeah.
And it gives a lot of variety in what we're actually talking about. I am very tired though now. Let's wrap this up. That was way more content than I was expecting to give you people. This free fucking content we blasted onto the internet every month-ish. Anything you want to say in closing there, Johnny?
No, just thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.
I think we'll leave it there, and I think next time when we get together, we're going to do a themed episode again. We're not going to be doing the fall anime. We'll come up with some sort of topic or something. Stay tuned for whatever the fuck that's going to be. I don't know yet. Till then, see you next time.